Do you really want bars in this town to be open until 5 o'clock in the morning this summer? Because I have absolutely zero interest in that for Kansas City, for Lee's Summit, or for any other municipality on the Missouri side of the state line. And finally, it seems like the mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, is wising up to this bad offer that's been on the table for quite some time. It is a Friday. Happy Friday. Thanks so much for being here and joining us on KCMO Talk Radio, wrapping up the week on 95.7 FM. So the mayor put a post up yesterday, and I actually agree with him. But a lot of people are hot and bothered by it, and I'm willing to hear your why at 913-408-7957. So as we kick it off here on a Friday, this was Mayor Lucas last night on his social media page explaining how he is considering introducing an ordinance to roll back the bars being open 23 hours a day, which is an offer that comes from the state legislature. The state legislature is saying to cities, hey, while the World Cup is going on, June 11th to July 19th, you can have your bar open 23 hours per day. And here was Mayor Lucas yesterday.
So Kansas City, we are all excited about what comes ahead this summer. But one thing I don't think we need is bars open 23 hours a day. I've introduced an ordinance that would bring us back to our normal closing times, 3 a.m. at some bars, 1:30 a.m. at others. That doesn't mean you can't wake up real early in the morning, get to your favorite bar. But more than anything, it gives some of our service workers a break, law enforcement and public safety, and maybe get you to bed too. So that's the proposal. Love to know what you think. But more than anything, we're looking forward to a safe, exciting, and wonderful Kansas City this summer.
Maybe get you to bed too. I mean, where did that come from? What was that? What are we doing here? What's that all about?
He's thinking about when you're out after 2, bad things can happen.
I get what he's going for there. I just don't know what he was trying to sound like there for a second. I'm like, what are we doing here? That's not the Quentin Lucas that's on this show every Thursday.
Dad Lucas.
Oh, man. But you know what? He's right. He's right. Now, there are a lot of bar owners I heard from yesterday, and one of them, Steve Stegall, who owns the Blue Line down in River Market, he's going to be on the show at 8 o'clock this morning because I know he's teed off. But I don't see any value. I don't see any real upside to having and allowing bars in this town to be open past 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, you think nothing good happens after midnight? I'm sorry, really nothing good happens after 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, this was an offer from the state of Missouri. And frankly, here's what I think this is really about. Because no one can possibly think that, having a bar open until 5 in the morning is really good policy when you've got potentially thousands of foreigners in the country, don't know the lay of the land, don't know your laws, your rules, your city, potentially drinking for hours upon hours. Like, what's the upside there? Never mind the run-of-the-mill hooligans who have already, unfortunately, given Kansas City a bad rap and a bad look here over the last several years as the city has dealt with its deadliest half-decade in the history of the city. Even though, of course, it's come down this year. We're all happy about that. But still, it's been the deadliest half-decade in Kansas City history. And all that nonsense is, I don't believe, going to magically slow down. And let's not forget as well, the city is a couple of weeks removed from passing an ordinance saying, depending on where your convenience store is located, you can't sell those little shooter bottles of alcohol anymore. So how hypocritical would it be of the city council to be like, hey, no shooters in certain parts of Kansas City, but bars open until 5 a.m.? Let's go. Woo! Let's go, baby. We're all going to be swimming in cash by the end of this World Cup. No, have public policy that is responsible for the broader community. And maybe you could clean up a couple extra pennies in sales tax revenues by having the bars open until 5 o'clock in the morning. But I'm sorry, it's not good for Kansas City. It's not good public policy. It's not looking out for the community at large. It will strain law enforcement even further beyond where it's going to be strained. And you know what? Maybe some bars do get impacted. Maybe they're leaving a little bit of money on the table. But you know what? I think public safety should take precedence over that. And that's just me. 913-408-7957. Here's the other reason I think this was thrown out there by the state of Missouri. State of Missouri, remember, kicked in $50 million for this deal. And this was an easy way for the state of Missouri to come out and basically be like, yeah, well, you're going to make so much money, you're not going to know what to do with it. Don't worry about what we're spending from the taxpayer. You're going to get absolutely filthy rich. So just open up that bar 23 hours a day and let the money flow, and you're going to be, oh, man, just on fire. So this was kind of the kernel they threw out there to justify the taxpayer money they have been spending on this World Cup coming to Kansas City, which, once again, for Missouri is about $50 million. For Kansas, it's about $28 million. And in Missouri, municipalities can opt out and keep regular hours. So Missouri is in a position where they gave the local municipalities the power to be able to say, you know what, we don't think this is in our best interests. But some bar owners are really upset about this, and they're claiming that it's Mayor Lucas using a heavy hand. No, listen, there are plenty of times to criticize this administration. Trust me, I'm willing to do it. Okay, I'm happy to be that guy. But this ain't one of them. Okay, this is actually looking out for Kansas City. This is looking out for the actual 500,000 residents in this community who are still going to be waking up early like I do and many of you do if you're listening right now and going to work. Okay, you don't want to be risking the idea of increasing your likelihood of being on the roads with a drunk driver from some other country at 5:30 in the morning. So it's looking out for regular people. It's making sure that law enforcement isn't extra strained between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning. That's what it's about. That's the purpose of all this. And that's why the mayor's doing the right thing. Now, is it possible that other bars in other parts of, the Kansas City metro will be open longer? Yeah, it's possible. Now, I know Lee Summit is considering not using 23 hours a day for its bars. But I know on the Kansas side, Merriam is going ahead with 23 hours. And now people are going to go get slammed in Merriam at 3:30 in the morning. I mean, what are you going to do about that? But I'm pretty sure people who are looking to booze up in a big way at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're going to figure out a way to do it. So if you're Kansas City, just do the right thing and look out for the city at large, not just a couple of bars that might make a few extra bucks from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is a no-brainer to me. Tara's on KCMO in Platte City. Tara, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
What's going on?
Oh, I wanted to speak on what he had said. Personally, I don't think the bars need to be open 23 hours. But that's just my personal opinion. I think it's reckless, dangerous. As far as service workers go, I think they would want it because they would want that extra opportunity for the money right now. But for him to say to give our law enforcement a break, I don't think we need to do that. I think that it makes him sound like he's not prepared for law enforcement. They should still be out there on the streets between those times because these people are coming from different time zones. We don't know, they're not going to just automatically adjust to, oh, well, it's 3 a.m., it's time to go to bed, So I think that needs to be considered as well.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, and I do think, Tara, it's a great call. Thank you for making it. Have an awesome weekend. I appreciate you.
You as well.
Here's what I would say. Your critique about the mayor's messaging is fair. He's acting like, he's the big brother. I'm looking out for the workers at the bar. I'm looking out for the cops. And, hey, everyone's got to get some rest. That's not the reason to not have the bars open 23 hours a day. I agree that his messaging could have simply been, listen, for Kansas City, for our 500,000 residents, there is no value in having the bars open 23 hours a day. Could it benefit a couple of bar owners in town? Yeah, sure. But you know what? We've got a 500,000 person city that we've got to look out for. There's far more downside than there is upside. I agree. He doesn't have to play big brother on, I'm just looking out for the cops. I'm just looking out for the workers. Let the workers figure out whether or not they want to work at 4 in the morning. For you, as the mayor, it's more about making sure that you've got a situation where your city as a whole is balancing safety with capitalism, with opportunity. That's your job. It's a never-ending balancing act. And that's the message I would have preferred. So I think that's a fair critique, even though I know Tara's agreeing with me as well up there in Platte City. 913-408-7957 is how you join us on KCMO. On the text line, Pete, bars are opening 23 hours a day. It is a necessity. People like me have a purpose to wake up early and go somewhere. Okay, all right. We've got some real degenerates on the show here at 6:15 on a Friday. I'm sure they're just walking out of some establishment somewhere after making some bad decisions last night. But hey, the phones are open. 913-408-7957. 23 hours of bars in Kansas City. I'm against it. Let me know what you think. We'll get to your calls as well coming up here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. And speaking of mayors, not just Mayor Lucas, but someone else who wants to be mayor. Boy, they had me really doing some deep dives over the last couple of days. We'll get to that in your calls coming up right here on KCMO.
Vince Colonnese here. Join me for your lunch hour from 11 to 2 on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
913-408-7957. It's 6:21. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. And we're happy to welcome you into the show this morning after Mayor Lucas announced yesterday in Kansas City that he is considering an ordinance to not have the bars in Kansas City opened 23 hours per day. That is being allowed by the state of Missouri during the World Cup, June 11th to July 19th. And the mayor's considering saying, sorry, you can be open during your normal hours. You could even open as early as 6 a.m., but you're going to close at either 1:30 or 3. You're not going to be open until 5. And I agree with this policy. I see no benefit to Kansas City as a whole for bars to be open until 5 o'clock in the morning. Anna is in Kansas City on KCMO. And it's not Anna, it's Anna, just like in Frozen. My girls always remind me of that. Anna, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Thanks for taking my call. I am just so relieved that Mayor Lucas is actually even considering keeping the same bar hours. When he posted the message yesterday on social media, my husband actually read it. He's a service industry worker, a veteran. He has been doing this for a very long time. I'm a former service industry worker and healthcare worker, and we both were relieved. There is so much danger and potential just tragedy that lies in the opportunity of having these bars open until 5 a.m. I leave for work every morning. I live on 39th and Prospect. I leave for work every morning and drive to Overland Park. And when I leave at 5:15 in the morning, the idea that there are going to be people that just left the bar after it being open for 23 hours is absolutely terrifying. Not to mention just the sheer burnout that will be a result of these industry workers. And all these bar owners that are concerned about losing money, there's a whole other caveat to this. I know the amount of patrons that I had to cover their tabs when they were too intoxicated to pay up, or they walked out on a tab, or, oftentimes kitchens close at 10 p.m. So from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., you're going to have all these people out drinking with no food, no kitchen, no French fries to soak up all the liquor. So, there's just so many variables that go into it. And at the end of the day, our police force can't keep up with the dangers of the nightlife as is until 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then, you have all of these bars and restaurants or bars and nightclubs. They have to staff their own security. So that is an additional force that has to be recruited for and trained for. And when it's all said and done, these people are going home. They're going back to their countries, and Kansas City will be left with all of the tragedy and all of the cleanup. And I am just really grateful that Mayor Lucas is actually considering a wise choice for us long term and for our actual safety of our community and our families.
Yes, putting the people of Kansas City first over the tourists. That's a great call. And Anna, I appreciate you, and thanks for checking in this morning. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, that's fantastic. She's right. I agree with everything that she just said there. It's not about, I see this on the text line, Pete, who are you to determine when a private business can open their doors? You sound like a liberal regulating people's rights to live freely. No, it's actually about putting, how about this, Kansas City over foreigners? How about it's about Missourians over foreigners? It's about tax-paying citizens like Anna getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning at 39th and Prospect going to work over some hooligan from England who wants to drink at 4 o'clock in the morning, who doesn't even know what side of the road to drive on to begin with. Never mind after a few pops in the middle of the night. No, it's actually, it's you know what? Try to make Kansas City great and put Kansas City first. And it's not about liberal, conservative. It's not about, libertarian this, not libertarian that. That's not the point here. Jordan in Kansas City, you're next up. Hey, Jordan, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning, Pete. I've got a great compromise. Like a couple of others have mentioned, they're on different time zones. Their body clock, it's going to take a while to adjust. So here's the idea. Instead of keeping the bar portion open, the last caller mentioned most kitchens close at 10, keep the kitchens for those that have them open. Let them stay open. Maybe, heck, we have, IHOPs that are open 24 hours. Maybe during these couple of weeks, these bars can turn into 24-hour diner kind of things, and offer some of that lovely greasy bar food. So maybe if people are drinking at 3, they can still get that greasy food to kind of absorb some of that alcohol, but still close the taps off at the normal times that way, but leave the restaurant portion open in. That way they can still come in, maybe watch whatever's on the TVs and get some food. And, then
So you're saying keep the rest,
money, a little extra money, and it's still providing a service.
So keep it open till 5, but cut the alcohol sales at 3 and keep the kitchen open?
Yeah, just keep the kitchen open. And the kitchen can stay open theoretically 24 hours, right? Other places do it.
Yeah.
So then, but just have the bar portion close at whatever that normal time is, whether that's the 1 o'clock or the 3, depending on where they are.
Well,
and then they're still making the little extra money.
Yeah.
And, I know they make more money off of booze, but heck, they make a lot of money off of those fountain drinks.
That's true. That's true. Here's you kind of got to my point there, Jordan, and I appreciate your call. I would say this: the money obviously is in the booze. Let's be honest. The profit on the booze is much greater than the profit on the French fries. So that's where I think the bar owners want to be at 3, 4 in the morning during the World Cup. That would just be my hunch. 913-408-7957. Getting to a lot more of your calls, your feedback on a Friday morning. Next.
from the nation's heartland. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
I'm just picturing the hooligans from the Netherlands rolling out of the bar 3, 4, 5 in the morning, bumping this song after a big win. I'm just hoping it's 3 o'clock. I don't want it to be 5 o'clock. I got no interest in that. 913-408-7957. We'll keep the conversation going. We've got full phones here in the 6 o'clock hour after the mayor of Kansas City yesterday said this.
So Kansas City, we are all excited about what comes ahead this summer. But one thing I don't think we need is bars open 23 hours a day. I've introduced an ordinance that would bring us back to our normal closing times, 3 a.m. at some bars, 1:30 a.m. at others. That doesn't mean you can't wake up real early in the morning, get to your favorite bar. But more than anything, it gives some of our service workers a break, law enforcement and public safety, and maybe get you to bed too. So that's the proposal. Love to know what you think. But more than anything, we're looking forward to a safe, exciting, and wonderful Kansas City this summer.
Get you to bed too. That's right. Mayor Q. DJ Mayor Q on KCMO. Pete, sounds like Mayor Lucas is on the America First bandwagon. Also sounds like some of your listeners who are MAGA supporters are in favor of catering to outside countries' citizens. We're living in an upside-down world. That's a great text. I agree. Nailed it. John and Shawnee, what's up, big man?
Hey, Pete. I listen to you every morning, and I love your show. I love all you guys. But me and a few of my buddies from church,
Yep.
we get together. We all have early hours, and so we get together early in the morning for Bible study at like a Waffle House, and we usually get together about 4 a.m. So we see the aftermath of these bars when they close down. And so, like, you know, we get together, we study the Word, we pray together. But I think keeping the bars open till 5 is awesome. Now we can start having our Bible studies at the bar, throw back 6 or 7 drinks, and be rip and then go to work. That's all I got to say.
I had no idea where John was going with this. That's a beautiful call, John. Way to go, man. Have a great weekend.
Love you, Pete.
That's
Bye.
fantastic. That is just that's great work. That's absolutely great work.
Show some RESPICT.
Somebody's got to be a witness out at those bars at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
John taking it for the team. Though.
Yeah, that's right. John and Shawnee. Don't be a stranger, John. I need you to keep to that if they allow the bars open until 5 a.m. That's outstanding. All right. Billy is in Lee Summit. What's up, Billy?
As the newspaper carrier that deals with drunk drivers on a constant, especially on the weekends, I don't want the bars open any later. And I really don't think the problem is going to be the foreigners coming here being out drinking, because we're talking about people that walk to the corner pub and walk home from the bar. Europe has half the DUI issues that the United States has. It's going to cause more of a problem with the DUI drivers we already have just being out later.
So it's just going to encourage our drunks to be bigger drunks.
That's what I'm thinking is going to end up happening.
I don't think that's a bad point at all. I think that's an excellent point. And heck, considering, to your point, Billy, we just had a guy driving, or I think a guy, we don't know for sure. We had somebody driving down. They were driving eastbound on 435 westbound. A week, 10 days ago here in town, and it nearly resulted in multiple fatalities. That's case in point. Like, tell me why the bars need to be open till 5 a.m.
I just found a drunk passed out at the stop sign, still in gear, just this morning at 3:30 this morning.
Where was that?
Lee Summit.
Jeez.
Right by the college. So I believe it's going to cause more of a problem that we already have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be the people coming here.
Well, Lee Summit's considering not doing 23 hours a day on the bars, so I hope that it happens there. I hope it happens in Kansas City, and that's a great call, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, George and Lone Jack, go ahead, George.
Yeah, so exactly what he just said pretty much is one of my talking points is that, and what you said, the 435 thing. So I drive from Lone Jack to DeSoto, Kansas every morning, and I drove through that wreck.
Oh,
it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
But the whole, I mean, if you're out drinking past 3:30 in the morning, you got some other motives on your mind of just getting blackout drunk. You don't need to be driving. You don't need to be out drinking that late. Like, if you want to drink that bad, get you a case and go home after 3:30.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. I mean, literally, if you're really dying to booze up for a soccer game that's happening at 3 o'clock in the morning, I guess you could figure out a way to do it. But here's the other thing, and this is what I'm failing to understand, George, and I appreciate your call and your point there. Yep. What I'm failing to understand is all the games are in North America, so it's not like they're on the other side of the world where there's a game at 3 a.m.
Yeah, and who's going to be playing soccer at 5 a.m., let alone 3 a.m.?
No one. I mean, the first games are on the East Coast in, like, New York. They're an hour ahead of us. They're not playing games at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, it's an insane ideology to think that you could stay open until 5 a.m. just so someone could get extra drunk and then figure out how to get home.
Yep.
And let alone pay their tab, too.
Yeah. Thank you, George. Great call. Have a good weekend, buddy.
You too.
Appreciate it.
I think the latest the games will go is probably midnight.
Yeah, West Coast. That's it. That's really it. Dave in Topeka. What's up, Dave?
Good morning, Pete. I love your show, and thanks for taking my call. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with this whole thing. Has anybody checked with the bar owners? Do they want to do this? My guess is probably not. They're struggling as it is.
Well, I got one guy. I'm going to have Steve Stegall on the show at 8 o'clock today. He owns the Blue Line in River Market, and he's been blasting the mayor over this the last 24 hours. Now, Steve was on the show a couple times during COVID. He fought the mayor over COVID policy. So he's a good guy.
Good.
But on this one, I just disagree with him. He wants his bars open all day, every day.
Yeah, I do too, and I agree. If the games are being played at 3 a.m, that might be one thing, or 4 a.m, that might be one thing. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and they're going to leave, and then here we are left with the aftermath of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's such a great deal, we'd already be doing it. But I'm over here in Topeka. I'm glad to hear you guys are getting some hooligans coming in over there, because we got hooligans running this place over here, and we're buying hotels and everything else. So if they hear about this, they'll probably be over there buying bars now. Anyway, good show. Have a great day, guys.
Have a great weekend, Dave. Appreciate you, brother. That's great. Thank you very much. Matt, Trucker Matt, according to my log sheet here, he is incoming on I-70 this morning. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, sir, I pretty much agree with everything you say. However, on this point, I don't, because I'm for the free market system. I'm not going to go to bed when Quentin Lucas tells me to go to bed. And I love Kansas City, and I think Kansas Cityans can take care of themselves and are generally responsible. Generally, there's going to be a handful of idiots that do bad things. And then on the other point, I'm a Marine, and we were founded in Tun Tavern. So,
well, okay, but let me ask you this. What's the role... Like, should we have legalized or just have every drug be legalized because most people are not going to abuse drugs? Or do you admit that there's a fine line between what we allow in society and what is responsible and what is not responsible?
That is true, but as far as saying, we need to make every drug legal, I don't agree with that. However, alcohol, that one gentleman said, the Europeans generally treat alcohol better than we do. However, alcohol is a social lubricant. It's talked about in the Bible as a good thing. Now, you shouldn't be falling down drunk with it. And I think it'd be great to have a beer at 4 o'clock in the morning on a day off.
Well, and you can do that, and no one's telling you can't do that in the pleasures of your home. But I think what that guy was noting too, a couple of calls back, is the Europeans don't have as many DUIs, not because they aren't as drunk, but because the way their cities are set up, they walk to the local pub. They're not having to get in a 2,000-3,000 pound weapon to get to and from.
True.
So
that's a good point.
Listen, I'm all about the freedom, but on this one, I do think that politicians have a responsibility to taxpayers. And you know what? I think 3 a.m. is plenty of time to get yourself completely lubricated. And after that, you go do it at your home. You just can't do it in the city at the bar and then get in the car and go home.
All right. Well, I think me and you should sit down at a bar at 4 o'clock in the morning and
hash this out.
A beer, a Guinness, pint.
As long as no Bud Light. All right, we got a deal.
No Bud Light.
All right.
Drink Guinness.
All right, Matt. Safe travels, man. I appreciate you. I'm, I get the whole freedom idea, and Mayor Lucas isn't going to tell me what to do. But at some point, listen, at some point, there is a responsibility factor here. And I see absolutely zero responsibility for Kansas City to leave the bars open past 3 o'clock during the World Cup. None whatsoever. Coming up, we'll get to hour 6 at 6 here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. It's a Friday morning. We're streaming, as always, at KCMOTalkRadio.com. But a bar owner who disagrees with me, Steve Stegall, the Blue Line up in River Market, he will be here at 8 o'clock. We'll pick up the conversation then on KCMO. Hey, as you're getting ready for the weekend, maybe you got some Mother's Day plans, you got an event this weekend, and you're like, oh, man, I got to pick up X, Y, or Z. Online orders at Hy-Vee. All right, that's the way to go. Get your online order done. If you're a Perks member, you get to have them do all the shopping for you. That's all you have to do. But if you're a Perks Plus member, they'll deliver to your house for free. That's what I am with Hy-Vee. And not expensive. Just go to the Hy-Vee app or go to Hy-Vee.com. Let them do the shopping, get express pickup, or get free home delivery only with Hy-Vee.
On Friday's Guy Benson Show, foreign policy expert and Trump administration alum Brian Hook breaks down the latest out of Iran. Coming up at 2 o'clock on 95.7 KCMO.
6:50 on a Friday morning on KCMO Talk Radio. Let's rock and roll.
It's time for the 6 at 6 on KCMO Talk Radio. Number 1.
Hey, there's an update on this one. I know many of you have been asking for it over the last few weeks. A Kansas City woman has pleaded guilty that she possessed unregistered devices after a fire was set earlier this year at a warehouse in South Kansas City. Dara S. O'Connor, 30 years old, has pled guilty to one count involving 2 destructive devices that were not registered in the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. The plea was made yesterday in federal court. This is the woman who used Molotov cocktails back on February 12th at a warehouse off of Botts Road that was potentially going to be the home of an ICE detention facility that she basically, threw a couple of Molotov cocktails into. I mean, she threw Molotov cocktails into a concrete building. Clearly, there is something not mentally right and well with this individual, but she did agree to a plea deal yesterday with the feds, and as part of her agreement, she's going to pay more than $43,000 in restitution as a result of damage to the building and faces up to 10 years in federal prison.
Number 2.
All right, next up in our 6 at 6 here on KCMO Talk Radio, Visit KC is standing by its numbers that there will be 650,000 visitors coming to Kansas City during the World Cup. Now, one thing I want to make sure you know is how they calculate that number. And I've said this many times, but I know that, the show's always turning over and some people are going to hear this for the first time. The way they calculate a visitor is if you come here for a week, you are 7 visitors. It's really about how many days you stay here. If 2 people are here for 2 weeks, that is 28 visitors. 2 people, 14 days. That's how they're tracking that number. So Visit KC is standing by this number 40 days out from the World Cup, despite the fact that hotels are readily available and Airbnbs are readily available around Kansas City. Visit KC is sticking by that number, standing to it. And here's the thing. That's the beauty of these economic development numbers that just get thrown around, whether it's for World Cup, Chiefs' new stadiums. How do you really disprove it? How? How do you prove the number's not true? Now, you can have common sense like I know you do and I do, but you're really, I'm not going to be sitting there taking numbers at the airport, clicking my little finger on that little, like a umpire and being like, all right, what's going on here? How many people coming through? Hey, you're not going to do that. And then what about people driving? How do you disprove it? So they can stand by it, but no one's actually believing it. And then when you realize how they calculate the numbers, listen, the whole thing's kind of phony. Now, I hope it's a great event. I want it to be a great event. But just be honest about how these numbers are being tracked.
Number 3.
Next up in the 6 at 6, today, the jobs report will come out. This is going to happen at 7:30 this morning. The expectation from economists is that we'll have a gain of 65,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate will stay flat at 4.3%. This comes after March had a blockbuster increase of 178,000 jobs. So this will be the April jobs report, and it's coming out in about 35 minutes.
Number 4.
Okay, next up. If you're looking for something for Mother's Day, you can go down to the Ferris wheel. Yeah, right in Kansas City. The KC Wheel is offering free rides for mothers today through Sunday. 1 free ticket comes with the purchase of 1 paid admission ticket, $17.50. So they're not making the Hawaiian Bros mistake. It's buy one, get one for the wheel this weekend if you want to hop on the Ferris wheel and look at the interstate. Do with that information what you want.
I'll keep that in mind. It should be a nice weekend.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I would get slapped if that was the Mother's Day gift, but I'm just speaking for me. Maybe it's got to be part of the bigger package, But
much.
Listen, don't take mom to the KC wheel and be like, I heard about it on KCMO. Thought it was a great idea. I'm telling you about it as a public service. I'm not saying it's got to be the ultimate Mother's Day gift. There's got to be a little more to it. Maybe a stop at Boulevard or something like that before or after the free ticket at KC Wheel.
Royals score 6 on Saturday. You go to Hawaiian Bros for the BOGO, and then you go to the freewheel.
Mark, he is just a master at finding those deals around town. Mark's got Mother's Day all lined up. Royals score 6 runs tomorrow, and on Sunday, he's taking his better half to the KC Wheel for a free ride and then a free meal at Hawaiian Bros. Boy, what a guy. What a charmer.
Such a nice man.
There you go. All right, next up in hour 6 at 6, we'll keep it rolling here on 95.7 FM.
Number 5.
Well, we got this news yesterday. A criminal charge against Chiefs defensive backs coach David Merritt was dropped by a Johnson County judge. Merritt was originally charged in late April with misdemeanor domestic battery and was arrested by Overland Park Police. The case has been dismissed without prejudice. The charge accused Merritt of knowingly or recklessly causing bodily harm to a family member or someone in a dating relationship. A judge also ordered the affidavit in the case to be sealed. So that came down yesterday. All right, last up.
Number 6.
Let's go to the Royals. They could not close the deal. They lose their second straight to the Guardians. They split the 4-game series. They are 17-21, but 2.5 games back of first place. They open up a 3-game series tonight at the K against the Tigers. So big stuff there. Chris Bubich is on the mound tonight for the Royals. He is 3-1 on the season. There is your 6 at 6 on KCMO. Coming up, I'm fascinated by this potential mayor next. Well, I spent the entire first hour, or at least a bulk of it, talking about our mayor here in Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, and whether or not he should allow bars to be open 23 hours a day during the World Cup. But I want to go out west to another person who wants to be mayor. You know, I don't know how often you're scrolling through social media, whatever the platform is, but it seems to happen more and more on X lately, which is formerly Twitter, where if you engage with a post, suddenly all you're getting now are posts tied to that one thing that you were just like reading through or watching or looking at. It's like overkill. It's like, okay, I liked one post. I don't need 17 posts in a row now on that same thing I just happened to look at. But that's how the algorithm works. It just doubles down. It feeds you more and more and more and more of what you just looked at. So, like, what was it, yesterday? Mark and I were laughing because we started going down the rabbit hole of Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, the Patriots head coach, who's got himself in a world of trouble. And my timeline was filled with that for half a day. And then last night, I start doing a little more research and kind of catching up on this guy, Spencer Pratt, who's running for mayor of Los Angeles. He's a former reality TV star. He was on The Hills, 20 years ago now it must have been.
Back when The Shore was on.
Yes,
Shore
Laguna
was East
Beach
Coast
and Jersey Shore and all these kind of reality TV shows.
Heidi Montag was more the main feature than Spencer.
Yes.
Right, Heidi and then her friend Whitney.
Yes, yeah. So that's going back 20 years. So Spencer Pratt is now running for mayor of L.A., and, you know, I didn't watch The Hills religiously, but I remember seeing some episodes because I was in college then. So it was like a big deal. It was geared right towards basically my age group. And he was kind of the goofy boyfriend of one of the main characters on The Hills. And now he's running for mayor of L.A. And he's running for mayor of L.A. as a Republican, which obviously is an uphill battle. But he's clearly got ideas and he's got thoughts that are pretty much just common sense. That's what they are. It's very simple. And you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, here's a city like LA that is as poorly run as any city in the country, that is, you know, still dealing with the aftermath of the wildfires from, you know, last year, where Spencer Pratt actually lost his home. That's why he decided to run. This guy who's married to, as John mentioned, Heidi Montag, they have a couple of kids together. She was the big reality star. He was the boyfriend, then husband. They lost their home in those wildfires in L.A. So he's decided he's going to run for mayor. And a lot of people laughed at it. Well, he was on the debate stage a couple of nights ago, and I became just fascinated with his candidacy, with some of his clips. And I don't know if he can win. He probably can't because he's a Republican in California.
I don't know. He's speaking to the common man there, brother.
Well, that's what I mean. Trust me, John, I want this guy to win.
There you go, yeah.
I'm all in on Spencer Pratt.
I'm buying.
I'm totally buying. But I just don't know if he can overcome the R next to his name. But take a listen to what he said the other night. And this clip, I thought, resonated not just in L.A., obviously, but I think it resonates here in Kansas City because we talk about these issues all the time. We talk about the homeless crisis. Remember like 5 years ago when the city council took some money and decided they were going to put the homeless in a hotel up in the Northland? And it was like, you know, this is what the homeless need. Just need a roof over their head. Once they get the roof over their head, everything else is going to figure itself out. They're going to get jobs and they're going to be functioning members of society. And it's like, no, that's not how it works, right? There are addictions that are involved here. Many of them don't want to be treated, okay? I mean, you know, you hear this story all the time. Maybe some of you have personal stories about this with friends, family, whatever it might be. People who are living on the streets oftentimes don't want help. It doesn't matter if you have the greatest government program known to mankind and you've spent millions and millions of dollars on it. They're not a roof away from being a functioning member of society. It's tragic. It's sad. We want to help them. But there's no evidence that suggests the more government money we put into it magically solves the problem. So Spencer Pratt, he's got this fascinating way of communicating with people where he just cuts right to it. There's a Trumpian-ish quality to him that I think is very underrated and not getting enough attention. And I really believe that when you're on TV, when you're in the media, when you've been in front of cameras for most of your life, You can just communicate with people in a way that politicians can't and business people can't because they haven't done it before.
You nailed it because it's who he is. He always had an attitude, if you will. He was kind of the DB boyfriend.
Yes.
There was always some issues there. So he spoke his mind even back then. And he's, like I say, he's speaking his mind, but he's preaching to the choir. Common sense.
He really is. And who knew John Anthony was such a fan of the Hills back in the heyday?
Tell you all about it.
This is the best part of the show already. An hour in, John's breaking down the Hills for me from the NTV heyday. All right, here was Spencer Pratt in the L.A. mayor's debate talking about the homeless issue they've got in that city.
How many beds you give these people, they are on super meth. They are on fentanyl. The DEA statistic says 93% of this is a drug addiction problem. Nithya, Councilwoman Robbins' plan for treatment first, I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck. These people do not want a bed. They want fentanyl or super meth. These ideas cost us over $400 million to house for 70, what did you say? 3,000 people for $400 million? This is an absolute failure for both of them. They're a team.
How great is that? Spent $400 million. These people don't want a bed. They want meth. We'll go down there, he says, to one of his opponents together, and she'll get stabbed right in the neck when they offer her a bed. I mean, how? Listen, you want to say it's too direct? That's a little grotesque. No, it's cutting to the chase. It's calling it like it is. It's
reality.
Yes, it's reality. It's why you're seeing more and more people who are able to communicate run for office because they cut through. Okay, I don't care if it's locally. Hey, look at our buddy Chris Stegall running for Congress up in the Northland, right? Communicator, radio guy, done it. Mark Alford, TV guy, communicator, done it. If you're smart, you can learn the ropes when it comes to the actual game of politics once you get in there, but you've got to cut through a lot of noise in today's world. And if you can communicate and you know how to cut right to the chase and tell it like it is, you can connect with people. And the big mistake I see in the political arena is that very successful businessmen and women, but more so men, think they can be the next fill in the blank, the next U.S. senator, the next governor, the next congressman, the next president. And they're like, I'm a businessman. Just like Trump, I'm the outside businessman. Yeah, but you can't communicate like Trump. Trump's secret sauce is not his business background. In some ways, his business background was a little more dubious. His communication skills is what got him to where he was in 2016 and what got him to where he is today. The outside businessman was the facade for the great communicator.
As we mature, we adopt filters. And it's not that these guys are immature, but it's just they choose the filters they want to use and the ones they don't. They have no filter for reality.
Yeah.
And we all see that. That's why I think he can win. Everybody out there sees that, regardless of what they're being told.
Exactly. And he's saying what everybody is thinking. And that's what Trump did 10 years ago, and he did it effectively. It's what Spencer Pratt's doing right now in Los Angeles. And you know what? Maybe next year in Kansas City, someone will run for mayor who talks and communicates like this to the people of Kansas City. Mayor Lucas is a very good talker. He's on this show every Thursday morning. But there's still, at times, a lot of political speak. And it's pretty transparent. And that's okay. That's the way the world is. But if you get that kind of mentality, you get that kind of candidate here in Kansas City against all these city hall and goober politicians who are afraid of their own shadow, that person might cut through. In a crowded field, you just got to get top two to get to the general election. You got a chance. I mean, I had someone on the city council who I think is going to end up running for mayor. I reached out to him months ago. I said, hey, can you come on the show to talk about X, Y, or Z, whatever it was. I forget the topic. And it was tied to their district. And, the guy starts hemming and hawing. Well, what time you think? And I don't know. I'm busy. Hey, can we get coffee first to talk about this? No, we can't get coffee first to talk about the 5-minute phone call I want to have you on the show to discuss. No, we can't do that. They're scared of their own shadow. They're afraid of, what they might say. Are they going to say something wrong? And the political consultant class has scared these guys and gals to death as well, because they're making a fortune on these campaigns, and they got to prove their hourly rates. So they're always like, don't say anything. Less is more. The less you say, the better off you're going to be. Let us carefully craft your messaging with all our little ads and all our little social media posts. And it's just fake. But the political consultants get rich off of it. Then you got Trump, who's never gone to a political consultant class in his life. And you got Spencer Pratt still on the show in L.A. It's like these are just regular dudes calling it like it is. And the more of that we get, the better off we're going to be. 913-408-7957. That's the text line here on KCMO Talk Radio, and also the phone number as we roll through a Friday morning 7 o'clock hour. We are going to have these jobs numbers that are coming out in 15 minutes. What exactly do they look like? What will they look like? We'll find out 15 minutes from now right here on KCMO Talk Radio. But next, speaking of the mayor, well, he's mad. He's not mad at me. He's mad at other media in Kansas City, which, I'll take a break from being the guy he's mad at here in town. Why is he mad at Kansas City media? We'll tell you next on KCMO.
From Overland Park to Parkville, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Sometimes when people get to the end, you just see them really get fed up, whether it's with media or some of the people they've been around for far too long. And that appears to be the case with Mayor Lucas. He may just be in the I don't give a you-know-what phase anymore of his mayoralship. He's not running for office this year. He's not running for anything else right now. So he's kind of getting all ticked off at local media here over the last 12 hours or so. I've noticed a couple of things from him where I'm just like, okay. That's clearly a guy who just doesn't care anymore. And what I mean by doesn't care, I mean doesn't care about being friendly with the media. Now, he still comes on this show every Thursday morning, which I appreciate. We have pretty robust conversations, but he appears to be done with some of the more mainstream outlets.
Dropping those filters I suggested earlier.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there was the story from Fox 4. We talked about this yesterday, but the story's from 2 days ago. And the headline on X ran as follows. Tonight on Fox 4 at 10, prosecutors call for stand your ground reform as Kansas City homicides hit a 20-year high, warning the trend may climb even higher. So this was a story about Melissa Johnson, Jackson County prosecutor, and some other folks in the office being against Missouri's stand your ground laws. And that's how they ran the headline. And the mayor responds to it and says, by 20-year high, do they mean 5-year low at this point in the year? But it's more fun to just make bleep up, writes the mayor. And he shares a screenshot of the daily homicide analysis year to date that does show homicides in Kansas City are down from where they were at this point last year and are down from where they were at this point every year over the last 5 years. Now, there's some nuance to all this because he's right, but Fox 4 is also right in some context as well. Fox 4 saying, hey, the last 5 years have been factually the deadliest years in Kansas City history based on homicide numbers. So they have hit, 20-year highs on the aggregate. But the mayor is saying, whoa, hold on. We're doing a better job this year on these homicide numbers. So it's not true that this year we are sitting at a 20-year high. He's right, and Fox 4 is right. They're both right. But the mayor obviously is just in that kind of phase and period here with about a year left in his mayoral tenure where he's like, I'm calling everybody out. I'm not putting up with any of this. And that's clearly what he was doing in that post. I mean, when he goes out there and says that Fox 4 is just making bleep up, and he went there. He clearly just doesn't care anymore. And in some respects also, I think, trying to help out his own image down the home stretch because he has overseen, this is indisputable, the deadliest stretch in Kansas City history. I mean, that is just a fact. But he's also not wrong when he notes, hey, right now we're doing a better job than we were 1 year ago and at any point in the last 5 years through May the 7th, May the 8th. Now, the other thing he noted here, yesterday we got this news that the Chiefs defensive backs coach is no longer going to be prosecuted for any kind of domestic battery charge that came his way. David Merritt had these charges dismissed. They were dropped yesterday by a Johnson County judge. He was charged in late April with misdemeanor domestic battery. He was arrested by Overland Park Police, and the case was dismissed without prejudice. So the mayor goes back in his timeline to an April 23rd post he found from KCTV5. He shares it at 4 o'clock this morning, so I guess the kids had him up early. I know how that is. It's okay. But he's up at 4 o'clock this morning posting on X, sharing this post from late April. It's a mugshot of Chiefs defensive backs coach Dave Merritt. And he writes here, so now that the state moved to dismiss charges and a court granted the order, are all y'all who posted it going to take down this man's mugshot or keep sullying his reputation and character? He then writes, I kid. I know the answer. You share a mugshot of a guy who got arrested. Then, of course, you follow up the story when the charges get dismissed. The frustration here should not be with the media. If he was wrongfully accused, then you should be upset with the accuser, not the media. I mean, by the way, and false accusations are a real thing. I actually believe we should have tougher penalties against people who file false accusations, and it's typically going to happen with women against men. I think we should have some better laws on that. But be mad about that. I mean, don't be mad at the media for posting the guy's mugshot when there's a mugshot out there of him. So I don't know, but the mayor's, he's been in a mood here against Kansas City media. I'll just sit back and do the old Michael Jackson meme and pop the popcorn. Coming up, jobs numbers. We'll get to them on KCMO.
On Friday's Guy Benson Show, foreign policy expert and Trump administration alum Brian Hook breaks down the latest out of Iran. Coming up at 2 o'clock on 95.7 KCMO.
Well, we've got some jobs numbers, and they have blown away the expectations here. This is just dropping in the last couple of minutes. Employment increased by 115,000 in April. The unemployment rate was unchanged at 4.3%. The expectations were for 65,000 jobs to be added in the month of April. Instead, that number was basically double what the estimates were. Well, that's excellent news. I mean, who's going to be upset about that? Unemployment rate stays steady, so that's fine as well. Now, where are the jobs coming from? Once again, as you would imagine, healthcare did a big number. 37,000 jobs added in the month of April in healthcare. And healthcare, I hate to say it, but that's become a government-adjacent industry now. So that's been doing well for a very long time. Transportation and warehousing employment increased by 30,000 in April. Retail trade added 22,000 jobs in the month of April as well. Employment increased in warehouse clubs, supercenters, other general merchandise retailers, up 18,000. In building material and garden equipment supply dealers, 13,000 jobs there. These gains were partially offset by job losses in department stores. So I'm reading this straight from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's where I'm getting these numbers from, not from some news website. I'm reading it right off of the BLS website. Employment and social assistance continue to trend up in April, 17,000. So how about this? Federal government employment continued its decline, down 9,000 in the month of April. Since reaching a peak in October of 2024, federal government employment is down 348,000 jobs. Man, that is unbelievable. Woo! How about that? 11.5%. Federal employees on furlough during the partial government shutdown were counted as employed in the establishment survey because they worked or received pay for the period that included the 12th of the month. So, listen, last month, the number blew out expectations, right? We were expecting like 60,000 jobs in March, and we got 178,000 jobs. Now, if you're wondering, were these numbers for the last couple of months revised down? They were, but only slightly. Only slightly. For the month of February, those jobs numbers were revised down 23,000, but March actually got revised up by 7,000. So over the 2 months prior to April, the revisions were only down 16,000 than previously reported. That's great. Listen, there's a lot of concerns right now in this economy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. $4.50 gasoline is not good. Republicans, I believe, are going to pay a price for that in the midterms if the war doesn't end soon and gas prices don't come back down to where they were in February. I mean, they're going to get their clocks cleaned. Okay? I mean, going around and being like, hey, gas prices could have been a lot worse. Like, that's just not going to work for people. But the thing that's holding up the economy is the fact that employment remains very solid and remains very strong. And every jobs report the last couple of months, at least, is blowing out the expectations. So that's a good thing. 913-408-7957. And that's something right now that I think you can't deny. The labor market is still strong. If that softens, there will be, I believe, a lot of pain. But for now, things are absolutely trending in the right direction and are staying very strong on that front. So take that, do with it what you will. But that is some welcomed news this morning. I would just say this much. Let's not also overreact to it and whistle past the graveyard when people still have legitimate concerns about affordability. Now, what else does this mean? It means that they're not going to be cutting interest rates anytime soon. I really don't think you're going to see an environment where interest rates can come down right now with the labor market staying as strong as it is. So I would say that is here to stay. On the text line, 913-408-7957. Pete, just wait for the May job numbers once Adam Hamilton gets done hiring for his campaign here in Kansas. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And he's paying out some nice salaries. We were talking about that yesterday. Like a field director position for Adam Hamilton's paying like $110,000 or something. That's a nice little side hustle if you can work your way through it. I mean, remember, these are multi-month gigs, and then you're done. It's over in November. So that's well done on the text line, 913-408-7957. That's how you join us here on KCMO Talk Radio. You know, I was just talking about mentioning some of the action happening ahead of the midterms, what it's going to come down to. Here's what's partially also fairly frustrating to me. You know, Republicans are in a tough spot right now. But let's not forget what they're up against, okay? And let's not forget that the party that's out of power doesn't really have any answers outside of Orange Man Bad. And I think that needs to be reiterated wisely and effectively by many on the Republican side of the aisle as much as they possibly can in the months to come. They will get blamed for the gas prices. And you know what? If someone calls up right now and says, hey, Pete, Trump deserves all the blame for $4.50 gasoline, I would say, I mean, yeah, technically you're right. I'm not going to argue with you on that. That's technically true. Now, whether or not you think the war has been worth it based on making sure Iran does not have nuclear capabilities, that's debatable. But yeah, I mean, the decision to go to war with Iran has obviously led to higher gas prices. No one can dispute that. But let's not also forget what the options are on the other side, and that there really hasn't been a moderation on economic issues or social issues. So I saw this last night. Wes Moore, he is the governor of Maryland, and he wants to be, I believe, the next president of the United States. He goes on a podcast, and he gets asked a very simple and obvious question. All right. Would you allow, he's got a 14-year-old son. Would you allow your 14-year-old son to transition and become a female? And here's what he told Patrick Bet David.
Your son comes in saying he wants to transition. What do you do?
Well, first, I mean, if it's my son, so I love him regardless, right? And he's always going to have my undying love. That's me, right? I want to make sure that I'm involved in understanding where he is, how he's feeling, the way he's feeling, why he thinks it's important. If this is a journey that he wants to go down, I want him to always be comfortable in his own skin. And I want him to always know that he has a partner in me to help him along that journey.
Would you advise him to wait till he's 18?
If this is how he is feeling, and I feel like I'm closely tied to him, I'm not going to advise him on something that he feels is
at 14 years old, Wes?
No, I understand it. But what I'm saying is, the most important thing for me is I want him to feel safe in his own skin, safe in his own decision-making, but also know that at 14 years old, I want to be involved inside of that process as well. I'm not going to condemn him nor castigate him. I'm not going to kick him out of the house. I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that I'm involved.
That's Wes Moore, governor of Maryland, and expected to be somebody who wants to and will run for president in 2028. He is scared to death of the idea of just saying, no, I don't think that my kid at 14 years old should be transitioning to another gender. You can tell how uncomfortable he is. I don't believe him for a second, by the way. I don't believe a word that he just said. And I think deep down, he doesn't believe a word that he just said. Maybe not even that deep down. He just feels like he has to say that, given the party he affiliates with. He goes on to say, well, if my 14-year-old's not comfortable in his own skin. Hey, memo to people who forget what it's like to be 14. Part of being 14 is not being comfortable in your own skin. That's part of being a 14-year-old. You're not comfortable in your own skin. So when I hear Wes Moore say that, it tells me nothing's really changed. It's just some of these crazy ideas have been put on the back burner because the people who believe in them don't have any power right now. But they're still there. Now, I don't think that can save you from $4 or $5 a gallon gasoline. I don't, because I think people are naturally emotional. They're seeing what's happening every day in their lives. They're seeing their costs go up. And I don't think that talking about those issues can save you right now. But if you can get things back to where they were a few months ago and remind people about some of the crazy that's out there, you got a chance. You got it, because the crazy hasn't left. It's just been put on temporary hold. And despite all the evidence that suggests if the left side of the aisle just moves itself to the center on some of the wackadoo ideas, they've got a great chance to have control for a long period of time. They do. But they just can't help themselves. And that clip from Wes Moore is case in point that as much as some people want to believe change has happened and moderation has taken place, the evidence would suggest it really hasn't. 913-408-7957. Let's squeeze in Tammy. She is in Lenexa. Hello, Tammy. Good morning.
Hey, Pete. Good morning. I just thought it was really funny when you played that clip, how he said he wanted to be involved in the transition with his son, but yet the left doesn't want you involved. They want to do it behind your back and let the schools do it without any parental knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Thank you, Tammy.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. On the text line, Pete, the American people are still the wealthiest in the world. We need to stop whining about gas prices and celebrate the fact that someone's finally doing something about Iran. Yeah, see how that works for you in November. By the way, if you're saying that now, were you saying that 4 years ago about Joe Biden? Or were you putting up stickers on the gas pumps that said, I did this? I mean, just be honest, right? Just be honest. I mean, it's fine to take the approach of the gas prices you believe are worth it for 50 years of Iran terrorizing the world and finally doing something about it. Like that, make the case, right? But telling people to stop whining about it, that's not going to win you over anybody. It's not. Especially when the people that are now saying that are 4 years ago saying, hey, this is out of control. These gas prices are nuts. This is unsustainable. It's a tax on the poor. You can't have it both ways. At the very least, be intellectually honest about it. That's what I'm saying. And explain what's going on here a little bit better than what's been explained as of late. Because I don't think, if you were to ask anybody right now, what's the goal, what's the end game look like for this war, could anybody tell you? Could the people in charge tell you? I'm just not going to sugarcoat any of this and whistle past the graveyard because some people want to. But at the same time, I will note the crazy on the left is still out there, and the GOP has to figure out how to harness their messaging around that. 913-408-7957. Top of the hour, we'll get to Steve Stegall. He is a bar owner in the River Market. He owns the Blue Line, and we'll debate and talk about whether or not Kansas City should roll back the bars being open 23 hours a day during the World Cup. That's all coming up on KCMO. All right. Well, these jobs numbers came out, and you know what? The good news is if you need a job done in your house, CMP Construction can help you out today. All right. They're family-owned and a Kansas City company run by Chris and Teresa right here in Kansas City. And frankly, that should matter to you. You're not going to be dealing with some big corporate remodeler. You're not going to be dealing with, middleman salespeople. It's a team that treats your home the way they would treat their own. And that's how CMP Construction has done it for decades here in Kansas City. And they've built their reputation on building trust one room at a time. The great thing about CMP Construction is they have a lot of customers who just come back, whether it's on a, biannual basis, whatever it might be, for work that they're always doing in their home. So whether it's one big project in the house, a kitchen, a bath, a basement, a full remodel, or maybe you think it's a smaller project, well, give CMP Construction a chance and look at all their work on their website. That's cmpremodel.com. cmpremodel.com. And that family first approach is why people across Kansas City continue to come back year after year. Let them start the conversation today with a free quote. CMP Construction. The website is cmpremodel.com. Request the estimate. You'll see it right there on the website, top right corner. And the phone number as well is right there as well. 913-408-7578. CMP Construction.
From Smithville to Shawnee Mission, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
7:54. Good morning. It is great to be here on a Friday on KCMO 95.7 FM, streaming all morning long, of course, on our KCMO Talk Radio app as we take you up until 10 o'clock. That is when Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled comes on the station. But, of course, we'll have Kevin on the show to wrap up the hour or wrap up the show this morning at about 9:45. Do not miss that. 913-408-7957. On the text line, a lot of you are taking issue with what I said about gas prices right now and the impact that could have come November. And I said, listen, if you're someone who was pointing to gas prices 40 years ago when the last guy was around, come on, man, and now you're kind of excusing them away, well, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. If you're explaining, you are losing. And many of you are saying, well, Pete, this is apples to oranges. These gas prices are a direct result of trying to protect us, as well as our kids and grandkids, from a terrorist regime. 4 years ago, it was a response to woke green energy and getting rid of gas vehicles. I don't disagree with the assessment, but I'm telling you it's not going to matter. I do not disagree with what that assessment is and what you're claiming. But both those things can be true. One, I see your point. Two, it will not matter at the polls. It just won't. And you will have people running against it. I mean, Adam Hamilton, who's running for U.S. Senate here in Kansas, I saw him on CNN the other night. And one of the first things he went to was gas prices. It's so easy. It's like too easy. Shooting fish in a barrel. It's like, if you're the party out of power, you can't get a better gift than $5 a gallon gasoline. It's like, just put it on, tee it up for them. So my point is, I understand. Yes, there is generational benefit to, I think, what they're attempting to do with Iran. Now, whether or not it works is also something that kind of remains to be seen, because I think the messaging has been a little bit all over the map here on this stuff. But you look in a situation right now where people are like, hey, these gas prices are out of control. I'll give the other guys a shot because, yeah, we've got short-term memories. Wes and Gladstone, go ahead.
Yeah. Trump, shut the hell up. You're dealing with maniacs over there. If you didn't go in to finish the job, then you're a fool and you're going to get slaughtered in the midterms. You're dealing with maniacs. Finish the job, open the strait, get things going again. But I'm tired of hearing this, we may have a deal and I'm going to extend this for a little bit farther and we canceled this and blah, blah, blah. Just shut the hell up and finish the job.
All right. Loud and clear there, Wes, from a diehard Trump guy, right?
Yep. But I'm getting sick of it.
I don't think you're alone, brother. And you know what? Here's the other thing you got to think about. In when it comes to any election, it's not just about getting people to vote for you. It's about having the enthusiasm to get people off the couch as well. All right. You want me to squeeze one more in? All right. Real fast. You got something? Can you squeeze a 30 out of me there, Mark? Yeah? All right, real quick. Paul in Kansas City, go.
Hey, real quick, Pete. Yeah, what's got me bullish on the midterms is the Democratic lineup. You got Plattner in Maine, and Nazi, El Said in Michigan, and jihadist, Talarico in Texas, who says God's non-binary, and Kathy Porter in California that said we got to replace natives with the illegals. And when conservatives get fired up, we turn out. That's what's going to be bullish for me. So that's my point.
Yeah, I know, but it's always a referendum on the people in power. It always is. Steve Stegall's going to be here next. He owns the Blue Line in River Market. We'll debate whether or not Kansas City should have bars open 23 hours a day during the World Cup next. So yesterday, the mayor of Kansas City announced that he was considering a city ordinance to not allow the bars in Kansas City, Missouri, to be open 23 hours a day, which is something the state is allowing bars to do for the 6 weeks during the World Cup. Here's what the mayor of Kansas City had to say.
So Kansas City, we are all excited about what comes ahead this summer. But one thing I don't think we need is bars open 23 hours a day. I've introduced an ordinance that would bring us back to our normal closing times, 3 a.m. at some bars, 1:30 a.m. at others. That doesn't mean you can't wake up real early in the morning, get to your favorite bar. But more than anything, it gives some of our service workers a break, law enforcement and public safety, and maybe get you to bed too. So that's the proposal. Love to know what you think. But more than anything, we're looking forward to a safe, exciting, and wonderful Kansas City this summer.
All right, there you go. Now we are happy to welcome on and say hello to Steve Stegall. He is the owner of the Blue Line Bar in the River Market. Steve, good morning. I know that you disagree with the mayor of Kansas City there. Why is that?
Good morning, Pete, and thank you for having me. Why do I disagree with the mayor? Well, let me tell you, Pete. For 60 days, we've been given the okay by the state to open till 5 a.m. We got what, $200 million in tax money out there to host this thing, and as a taxpayer, I want to at least get some of that money back. And as a bar owner, I would love to make that extra revenue, and for him to come out 30 days after 30 days of getting prepared, buying new tables, buying new chairs, putting money into this thing. We've hired new bar staff. We've invested a lot into this thing. And 30 days prior, now he says we need to be going to bed at 3, not hanging out till 5 in the morning. I mean, where's this extra revenue that we were supposed to pick up? I mean, we are hosting the World Cup games, and there are games that start at 11 and 12, and that we might not even get to finish. We might have to kick out soccer fans at 3 a.m. when the game is still going on. And I mean, how is that going to fly? Kicking out 100 soccer fans when their game might be going into a shootout, or, if it goes overtime. We got games that start at 11 and midnight. So if they go into any overtime, any extra time, anything like that, we're going to end up having to kick fans out. Fans that made the trip to come here, that we're hosting a city, we're going to have to kick out of the bar.
So you have games starting at midnight? Where? When?
Yeah, 11. There's
11. There's no 4-hour soccer games. In fairness, Steve.
Well, in fairness, Pete, here's the deal: if a soccer game goes into overtime, usually soccer, you are correct, does not last. In the World Cup, though, Pete, it goes to overtime. And overtimes are 30 minutes. They just don't go straight to a kick out. You got a break, then first you got extra time, then you got overtime. If nobody scores, then you got a shootout until somebody wins the game. So, in fairness, you are right. But when it comes to World Cup, these games can go 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that's possible.
So there will be, there might be chances that we're kicking out people as their game's going to a shootout.
So what about Kansas City as a whole? I mean, I get it from your perspective. I think that you can still do, and bar owners can do very well if the hype obviously ends up coming to fruition for this town. But is the make or break really going to be the 3 a.m. close versus the 5 a.m. close, and then the upside versus the downside for Kansas City as a whole, with potentially more, people out drunk driving and things like that?
Oh my God. You know what? That's what I hear. Oh my God, how about the drunk drive? Listen, if you don't think it is up to the people not to drink and drive, Pete. We do our best. We get people in Ubers. We watch what they drink. If we see somebody drunk, A, we don't serve them. B, we make sure they get home safe, however that may be. We've been working, we were going to work with pedicabs and some other services on making sure people got home safe. As far as the pros, my God, the money, yes. The money generated from 3 to 5 for us,
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for 40-some days that we're going to be open. So it's a huge hit. We're kicking out people right now without the Stanley Cup or without the World Cup. We're kicking them out at 3 a.m. anyway. What happens is a lot of service people get up. People think, oh, my God, everybody's going to be drunk at 3 o'clock. And now they're going to even let them get more drunk at 5. That's not how it works. Pete, you know what? When coronavirus came and the mayor said, hey, let's close down at 10 o'clock because that's when Corona comes at your door. You know what people were doing? They were getting drunk by 6. People will get drunk no matter what time of the day. And if they're dumb enough to drive, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. They will do it. Whether it's 3 a.m., whether it's 1 a.m., whether it's 10 p.m. It doesn't have to be 4 or 5 a.m. That's up to the person who's making that bad decision.
Well,
not up to us.
that's fair, and I totally agree. And you're obviously a responsible bar owner, so it's not really about you, but there are obviously others who may not be as responsible. But don't you have a greater risk if the bars are feeding out at 5 in the morning when other people taxpayers are trying to go to work versus 3 in the morning when the roads are going to be more quiet?
So the roads are more quiet from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.? That's what you're saying?
Then 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, I would say that, yes.
Okay, well, people will be out of the bars by 4:30. Here's the thing. A lot of these foreigners are coming in. They're Ubering. They're staying downtown. They're not going to be driving all over our highways late at night. I would not think. I would think most of them would be Ubering to bars, especially that late at night. I know if I was in a foreign country, I'm not driving anywhere at 4, 5 in the morning. That's myself, and I wouldn't think anybody else would either. But as far as the drunk driving and people being on the roads, I mean, you have the same thing going on at 3 a.m. I leave the bar every night anywhere from 2 to 4 a.m., Pete. And have I ever – there's not very many cars on the road. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I mean, you're always alert looking for people drinking and driving. No matter what, you got to be looking at your surroundings. And no matter what time of day, any day of the week.
No, I agree.
And that's me driving home.
I agree.
That's
but I mean,
me
you're kind
driving home. So.
I think you're making the point, though. There's not a lot of people on the road from 2 to 4, but you get into that 4 to 6 window and it starts to change. I mean, we had a guy driving down the wrong way on 435 here last week that almost killed a couple of people. I understand your point, but let me ask you this, Steve. Are you more upset about the fact that the mayor is rolling this out 30 days before? Like if he said 3 months ago, hey, we're not going to go with this Missouri state law option about, 23 hours a day, would you have been just as upset 3 months ago, or is it that you're 30 days out that you're really annoyed?
Well, it's annoying they did it 30 days out because, the whole bar industry was excited. I know a bunch of bar owners who were pumped about doing this. And, I mean, so that was just an extra, oh, wow. Because at first I was like, oh, well, this mayor, I'm sure he'll have something to say about it. I'm sure. And you know what? He went along with it. Nothing was said. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, what I think happened, Pete, is I think he found out that there isn't as many people coming into town as he had thought. So now he wants to lower. That's what I think personally happened. But to be honest, this is a once in a lifetime event for bars. So we've never had this happen in Kansas City. The state obviously okayed it because they thought it was safe. They thought it would be a great time for Kansas City to make a little extra money. Like I said, we got $200 million worth of tax money pumped into this thing, our tax money. And you're going to close the doors at 3 o'clock instead of generating revenue as a business for the city? Piss poor.
How much? I mean, you're in the bar every night, Steve. So I want to, and I mean that obviously as the owner. I want to ask you though, who's going to be the quality? I'm just going to say it. The quality of character at 4 o'clock in the morning is what?
I love that you asked this, Pete, because you know what? This is what goes through. It's 4 in the morning. Who's going to be out drinking? My God, who is out at 4 in the freaking morning? You know who's out? People getting off work. People who are dead sober. Wanting to come out, oh, wow, I can finally go out and have a drink after work because I usually get off at 2. It's too late to go out. We get the same crowd. We'll get the same crowd at 5 that we have at 3. which is a great crowd. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, nothing good happens after midnight." We don't have any problems down there. We have security. We have, you know what a lot of people are missing out on. There's a lot of money being missed out. If we close at 3 to 5, we were going to pay double for security, for Titan security. That they were thrilled for 2 extra hours. They were going to make double. Police have reached out to me. Hey, Steve, would you like us to? All the same reasons that the mayor is giving. The mayor is giving reasons of security. He's afraid, just like you just asked, what kind of people are going to be out? He's afraid of security reasons. Listen, they were funded $80 million from the feds, $59 million from FIFA for security, for police. Where are they? Why are you using that as an excuse? We got plenty of money, 80 freaking million, and you can't spend it on security? And why are you giving that excuse? We just got 80 million from the feds, 59 million from FIFA. Why is security in it? What are you doing with that money? Is what I'd like to know. What are you doing with that money if you're going to close early?
Yeah, I mean, there still may be obviously massive security needs. I don't know. That's a good question for the mayor, though, and we'll definitely ask that of him. All right, so do you feel like most bar owners that you've talked to are on your side on this thing here, Steve, in the last minute?
Well, you know what? The 3 a.m. bars are. I've talked to other bars. They're not even messing with it. Which, once again, you know, I'm getting all of their employees, and that's the deal. When these bars close, I get all their employees. We are busy from 1 to 2:30 a.m. from employees coming in who are getting off work. It's the same thing. We are generating revenue till 5 o'clock, and we're missing out on thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's not about, you know, people are worried about safety and drunk drivers. I mean, wake up. You have that every day of the week.
Well, appreciate the call there, Steve. Thank you for checking in. Good to have you on the show and hear you again. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thank you so much, Pete. I appreciate it.
All right, you bet. Steve Stegall, Thin Blue Line is his, or excuse me, the Blue Line Bar in River Market. I was thinking about cops. Thin Blue Line. Blue Line Bar in River Market on KCMO. 913-408-7957. He was great during COVID. He told the city council to pound sand. I disagree with him on this one, though, but I'm glad he came on the show for the conversation. 913-408-7957 is how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio. We'll get to your thoughts, my thoughts, and keep the conversation going next.
Coming up at 10 o'clock, it's Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, right after Pete Mundo and Mundo in the Morning.
Sorry, I just see no inherent benefit to Kansas City keeping the bars open until 5 a.m. during the World Cup. Fine. The state of Missouri said you can do it. I see no benefit to it for Kansas City, none whatsoever. I don't know why the city would even be open to this. Now, if you're a bar owner and you've been planning for a 5 a.m. closing time and you've been preparing for it, I could see you being upset with the mayor and being like, dude, why didn't you announce this 2 months ago? That is a fair critique and a fair beef. But there's no societal benefit for Kansas City to keep the bars open until 5 a.m. during the World Cup when there's no games that are going to be happening from 3 to 5 in the morning. You're getting in the morning rush hour with the potential chance of drunk driving going on. I'm putting the Kansas Cityan, the taxpayer who's waking up early and going to work first, over the foreigners coming here to watch soccer, or over the boys trip coming down from Chicago to watch some soccer and hang out at the bars. I'm putting the Kansas Cityan first. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Randy. He's first up in Bayshore. What's up, Randy?
Hey, Pete. Good morning, and thanks for having me on. I listened to Steve's whole spiel there, and the whole time just thinking, every point this guy's making is just, if it's not ridiculous, it's not the best. I'm not a soccer fan. I don't know a whole lot about soccer, and I don't really care for the sport. That's fine. But I did Google the Kansas City World Cup schedule, and maybe there's something else happening there that I'm not aware about. But the latest game that I see starts at 9 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, so there are a couple of 11 p.m. games. There's a couple of 11 p.m. games, thanks, Randy, that'll start on the West Coast because we have games all across the country.
Some on Mexico games where they're at.
Yeah, but but those games are going to be done by 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah. So, and he's claiming he spent a bunch more money to buy tables and chairs and hire more. Really, to stay open for 2 more hours, you needed that many more tables and chairs? I don't get. And then the vast majority of drunk driver fatalities happens after midnight anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So one almost guaranteed way to make that number go up is to just go ahead and keep the bars open longer and later into the morning hours.
Yeah.
And let people, and he made the point that it's up to people to not drink and drive. Well, how's that working out so far? We got thousands and thousands of people across the country die every year from drunk drivers. So, just every point the guy made, to me, just seemed ridiculous.
All right. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate the call.
You bet.
913-408-7957. Stephen, KCK, go ahead.
Morning, Pete. So when the people that were at the top selling this bill of goods on this, they said this is our chance to display Kansas City and show the world who we are. This is who we are. Well, this is who we are. We close our bars at 2 or 3 a.m. If you ain't got your drunk in by then, too bad. Go home. It's time to go home and pass out. If somebody from Europe comes here and thinks we're a small town that rolls up at sidewalks at 9 o'clock p.m., so be it. That's who we are. This is Kansas City. We go to bed at 2 or 3. We close our bars at 2 or 3. We don't keep them all night.
And you know what? You can keep drinking. You can keep drinking in the freedom of your house. No one's saying you can't have a beer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
This is who we are. We have homeless people. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. I have done many a graveyard shift in radio. Many. I at WCBS News Radio, I would do the 7P to 2A shift. I did the midnight to 6 shift. I've done them all. And at no point, maybe it's just me, but at no point was I like, man, I wish the bar was open at 4. If I wanted a beer, I'll go sit in my house and have a beer. Go to sleep at 4 in the morning, 5, 6 in the morning. Now, it wasn't my preferred lifestyle, but it doesn't mean I couldn't have done it. On the text line, Pete, I've been to about 6 other countries and 3 continents. It's pretty common to have bars open way later than 2 or 3. The party doesn't start until after midnight. I don't care. I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. This is when our bars close. That's it. That's it. This is when our bars close here, okay? I don't go to other countries. The one time I've been to Italy, I don't go there and be like, damn, I wish they didn't take their siestas when I'm trying to eat lunch. I'm in their country, their rules. That's how it goes. I don't care what. I'm sorry. I'm not putting the foreigners first in Kansas City. We're America first. We're Kansas City first. I don't give a damn what the Argentinians do. Especially now that they've got the Hanta virus or whatever that darn thing is. I don't care what the people from the Netherlands want to do. I don't care about England. Okay, we fought a war over that 250 years ago. I don't give a damn. They drive on the wrong side of the road. I don't care. And I don't even doing that at 4 a.m. after a few pops. I'll tell you that right now. A week ago, we had a guy driving drunk down 435 westbound going east. Nearly killed a bunch of people. And don't tell me, well, there's a lot of people driving drunk at happy hour. You know what? 2 wrongs don't necessarily make a right. Why put more people at risk? So a handful of bars can stay open until 5 a.m. What is the societal and benefit to the city? We'll get to more of your calls coming up right after the news.
Vince Colonnese here, and I'm coming up at 11 after Kevin Keatsman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
It's 8:34. Happy Friday. Thanks for kicking off the weekend with us on KCMO. Just to reset where we're at, Mayor Lucas said this yesterday, and this is the conversation we've been having here on KCMO as to whether or not Kansas City should allow the bars to stay open till 5 a.m. during the World Cup.
So Kansas City, we are all excited about what comes ahead this summer. But one thing I don't think we need is bars open 23 hours a day. I've introduced an ordinance that would bring us back to our normal closing times, 3 a.m. at some bars, 1:30 a.m. at others. That doesn't mean you can't wake up real early in the morning, get to your favorite bar. But more than anything, it gives some of our service workers a break, law enforcement and public safety, and maybe get you to bed too. So that's the proposal. Love to know what you think. But more than anything, we're looking forward to a safe, exciting, and wonderful Kansas City this summer.
All right. Maybe you say, like I do, there's a lot of stuff I disagree with the mayor on, but I think he's right on this one. Bill is in Westport. What's up, Bill?
Hey. Hi, Pete. Thanks for having me. I just want to comment that, 18th and Vine has the Musicians Foundation that gets to be open late year-round. And I think given the opportunity for a handful of bars to stay open late during this is probably not that impactful as a security problem for Kansas City. I don't know. I don't even know if there are many bars in Westport that are going to stay open late, but I think if you're a bar owner and sales are tough these days, let's face it, everything's working against you. And crime especially. And you got a chance to make a few more bounds, I think that's okay. The responsible owners like Steve, and I know Steve, he's a great operator. And they'll be attuned to, making sure that the customers go out in a safe manner. I think a lot of the people that come in town, he's correct, will be using a lot more Ubers than personally driving cars around. And and for the people that do get off late, like I know a ton of bar people, for the bars that close early and they get off at 1 or 1:30, and by the time they get done cleaning up and all, it's 2:30 or 3, and it's a short opportunity for them to get to go out too. A lot of service industry people that
but they chose that career, Bill. They chose. Who cares? I don't care about. They chose a career, and they can't go out at 3 a.m. in the morning. Sorry, go do something else where you can go out at night.
Sure you can, but why do you give one bar in town that advantage year-round, and then you tell everybody else, well, we're going to let you do it for just, a month or two, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You make plans, and then the plans are pulled.
Yeah. Well, that's a fair beef. And I want to get to some other calls. Good to hear from you, the great Bill Nigro in Westport on KCMO. Good stuff there, Bill, as always. I appreciate it. I get that beef, and that was Steve's beef, too. It's kind of late to be pulling out the rug from people. Matt in Prairie Village owns bars on both sides of the state line. Matt, go ahead, my man. Good morning.
How you doing, Pete?
Doing well, brother. How are you?
Good. Hey, for me, the bar business is all about what level of risk you're willing to take. In Kansas, the bars can only be open till 2, and in Missouri, you either have a 1:30 or a 3. I only have a 1:30 in Missouri, but when I spoke to both of my staff, they're great with doing regular business hours, because mainly for us, we don't have the staff, because they're dead tired at that time of the day. We don't have the staff or the security to handle any craziness that can happen after 1:30 or 2 a.m.
So all this talk about how it's just going to be a bunch of people that are sedate and want a beer after work at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're telling me that's not the crowd?
That's definitely not the crowd that we want. I mean, man, if he's got staff, or Westport has staff to go ahead and fund the security that late at night, it's hard enough to get people to work that late at night. And the crowd that's out there after that night, I mean, I'm in that old grandpa says nothing good happens after midnight crowd. I'm in that crowd, and I've seen it. Maybe I'm just getting old, but my staff's tired, man, and they're not ready to work till 4 or 5 in the morning.
What about all the money you can make at 3, 4 in the morning?
I don't know. Like I said, it's all what kind of risk you want. And for me, the risk of what kind of mayhem could happen with a bunch of out-of-towners, that honestly like to drink and aren't scared to mix it up a little bit. And I guess that's a little bit stereotypical, but it's just not worth the money for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that, Matt. Thanks for the honesty.
You bet.
Good deal, man. That is someone in the business. We've got a lot of folks in the business chiming in on that. 913-408-7957.
It's not so much the locals, it's the competing fans, right? So you better learn how to say break it up in Spanish and Dutch, you know?
Get out that Rosetta Stone. Let's go to Jonathan in Kansas City. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, Pete. Back in the 2000s, when I was going to college, I was with Campus Crusade for Christ, and we went to a spring break trip in Panama City Beach. They closed those bars at 5, 6 in the morning, and we would sometimes go out to the clubs to dance at night. I will say, the type of town that you expect, where bars are closing that late, 5, 6 a.m., where the sun is practically rising up, that's the kind of towns where you see that. You see it in spring break places. You see it in Vegas. You see it in a lot of these party joints. And I don't, I think most people, when they think of Kansas City, they don't think of that kind of town for this city. And even, even Panama City Beach and places like that, they've pulled back over the years because they found that they have had so many problems. And, the people who live there and the people that they elect to be in charge of, those areas, they're getting tired of all those problems. And so they decided, we're going to pull back. Yeah. We're not going to allow alcohol during certain times. We're not going to allow them on the beach. Like they've pulled back and restricted. I know Miami did that too. I know Vegas tried to do a family image for a while.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say. I appreciate it, Jonathan. I want to get in as many people as I can here, but people have brought up on the text line, well, Vegas, what about Vegas? Vegas, that is Vegas. They're used to that. That's their scene. Right? That's not Kansas City. I mean, just to think that you'll pull it off for 6 weeks, I'm just not buying it. Go ahead, Mark and Overland. Who do I have here? Who is this on for? Robert in KCK. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, so my opinion's definitely changed a little bit while listening to everybody. If the latest the games are going to be is like 3 to 4-ish, then they should probably be shutting them down around then.
No. There's no game that's going to end at 3 in the morning. I mean, 2 o'clock, the latest games, there's a couple of games, Mark and John looked it up, that are 11 p.m. start times in the group stage. Tunisia and Japan, Austria and Jordan. I promise you, there are 7 people on the edge of their seats worried about Tunisia, Japan, and Austria and Jordan.
Especially in the group stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair then. But one thing that KCK did, which actually I'm happy they did, they restricted to where like the gas stations, the liquor stores, they're going to operate standard hours, which that's definitely going to free up police resources. You don't want our transients drinking and fighting all night. That ties up so many resources. So the fact that they've done that, Missouri should probably at least do that too.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Thank you, Robert. Good stuff. I appreciate you. Let's go to Glenn's in Basehor. Go ahead, Glenn.
Morning, Pete. My problem with the bars being open late are not people coming from Brazil, Europe, Germany, or wherever. My problem's with the people that already live in Jackson County, because when it comes to being stupid and breaking laws, they pretty much got that down pat. So what I would do is at 2 o'clock, if you speak fluent English, you're not allowed in. That way everybody's happy. How's that?
Wait. So you want to leave the bars open if you speak fluent English?
No. Yeah, no. Leave them open. But after 2 o'clock, if you speak fluent English, you're not allowed in.
You're not allowed in if you speak fluent English.
Bingo. That way everybody that's coming in can go ahead and hit the bars till 5. Yeah. And the ones that cause problems can go home.
It's pretty easy. Thank you very much there, Glenn. I like it tongue-in-cheek. It is very easy, though, to pretend you don't know English. I could start doing my Chi-Ching Chong impression real fast. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you very much. Mark in Overland Park.
It's Michael in Overland Park.
Well, Michael, you're on the air.
Oh, hey, I just find it ironic that he spent the whole beginning of the week fussing about the numbers with hotels and everything, and now all of a sudden we want to get back to normal business hours. This is a World Cup. I mean, let them have their day in the sun and then go back to normal hours afterwards. Everybody's making it seem like it's apples to apples on compared to Vegas or all these other places. How often do we have a World Cup? And I'm not even a soccer fan or a drinker. It's just like, let them do their thing and then, go back to normal afterwards. But this idea that, it's not like it's going to stay this way, forever.
You're right. So why should it stay that way at all?
Because it's the World Cup. It's
what does that mean, though? What is that? It's the World Cup. What does that mean?
You can't complain about, the numbers aren't generating, in one, earlier this week, and then try to hamper it down like it's not, take away their fun when they're here.
But are you suggesting then that people are going to suddenly say, I'm not going to Kansas City because I found out the bars aren't open till 5 anymore?
Now you're bringing in stuff that's,
But you're saying that this is the driver that we're stopping people from having fun. I'm sorry, if you can't have fun till 3 and you can only have fun till 5 a.m. and that's a deal breaker for you and going to the World Cup, I don't understand who's thinking that way. I don't think that's a big group of people.
But we can't pretend like this is just every summer we have this Cinco de Mayo, and why do we want to expect rules? This is a World Cup opportunity, and there's, like I said, I'm not necessarily for it either way, but it's just like, let them do their thing. And to the point of it coming out months ago, and now Mayor Q wants to come out and be big man on the block and change it last minute. It's just like let them do their thing. The state has authorized them to stay open. Let them stay open.
Well, here's the thing. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the call. Here's the reason I think the state did this, and this is Republicans running the state. They did this because they dumped $50 million of your taxpayer money into this. So they dumped $50 million into it, and now they want to be like, don't worry, you're going to make a lot of money. It's like, don't look over here at the money we're spending on this. Look over here at how much money you can possibly make. That's why they're doing it. That's what they want to accomplish. They're playing a game with taxpayers and business owners by saying, we're spending this money, but don't worry, you're going to make a windfall of cash. That's the game.
The state allowed this, both Missouri and Kansas allowed it, but they provided local provisions in their initial deal. So it's not like the city is interrupting. They were provided the option to opt in or opt out when the resolution's passed.
That's true as well. Coming up, buy, sell, hold. We'll get to that to wrap up the 8 o'clock hour on KCMO. Hey, you know what? We've had a little bit of a break here from the rain as of late, but it's still springtime in Kansas City. And if you've had any questions as to what's going on with your foundation, there is one call to make, and that is KC Pier. They are Kansas City's foundation repair experts. The best part about KC Pier, when you call them, there's no AI robot answering the phone. There's not someone in one of our World Cup countries answering the phone. It's a real person in Kansas City who picks it up when you call KC Pier. All right? They know our town, they know our soil, and they understand your concerns. And what also separates KC Pier is that you get a lifetime transferable warranty with their work, plus 1 and 2 year monitoring visits to make sure that your foundation is performing the way it should. They also take an educational approach, walking you through their ABC solution options so you understand what your home needs and why it needs it and what makes sense. Brian and the team have been out to my house, and they do a great job. They'll give you options that you can just do on your own. That's just kind of the business that they are and how they operate. Locally owned, all their jobs are done by trained employees, not subcontractors. So if you're seeing any kind of concerns in that foundation, cracks, maybe a little bit of water, something feels off, don't wait. KC Pier, Kansas City owned, home of the lifetime warranty. Go to kcpier.com. That's kcpier.com.
On Friday's Guy Benson Show, foreign policy expert and Trump administration alum Brian Hook breaks down the latest out of Iran. Coming up at 2 o'clock on 95.7 KCMO.
8:52 on a Friday morning on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We're always streaming at KCMOTalkRadio.com. It is that time of the week. Let's rock and roll.
It's time to buy, sell,
how about a day and 12 and a half, 15,
and hold. Buy, sell, or hold is sponsored by KC Pier, the experts in foundation repair. Don't buy, sell, or hold your home without an inspection from KCPier.com.
All right, John, what's on the rundown for buy, sell, hold?
Let's go with buy, sell, or hold this morning's jobs report numbers.
Well, I got to buy it. There's no reason not to. The numbers came in, if you missed it last hour, 130+ thousand jobs added in the month of April. Unemployment rate unchanged at 4.3%. That is well beyond, almost double what the expectations were of about 62,000 jobs. Sorry, 115,000 jobs. Did I say 130? 115,000 jobs in the month of April. The expectations were for about 62,000. So you got to like these numbers. Does it mean that the economy is great right now? Everyone's really excited and affordability is where it needs to be? No, it's not. All right, stock market's not Main Street. But despite all the issues from the last not just few months, but few years, the labor market has kind of propped everything up. So that's keeping things relatively stable, and that was some really good news this morning in the jobs report.
All right. How about buy, sell, or hold? Visit KC standing by the 650,000 World Cup visitors number.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm buying why they're standing by it because it's almost impossible to disprove. So the 650,000 number, just so everyone knows how they calculate this, I am just going to beat this dead horse because I think it's important to know how they calculate this number when they say 650,000 people are coming to the World Cup in Kansas City. They calculate that by basically saying if 2 people are here for 14 days, that is 28 visitors. They're doing it based on basically unique daily views and then adding them all up as if they're an individual person coming to Kansas City. So if you stay here for 30 days, you're 30 visitors.
We're using digital language in an analog world, aren't we? Yeah. They're impressions, but they're not unique impressions.
Yeah. So if a family of 4 is here for a month, that is 120 visitors in the eyes of Visit KC. So they doubled down on it, and I don't blame them because how am I going to sit here and disprove it? Now, beyond common sense, which tells me, boy, I got hotel rooms and Airbnbs open all over town in the middle of the World Cup in the second half of June. This thing doesn't feel right. But what am I going to do? Go around with a clicker and see who's here in Kansas City for the World Cup coming from out of town? And, is someone who comes in from Lee's Summit technically visiting Kansas City for the World Cup? I don't.
And did they ride a streetcar?
Yeah. It's I get why they're doubling down on it because outside of common sense, I don't have a number to disprove it.
Well, it's over a period of several days, too, into June, middle July.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard to say. Buy, sell, or hold Spencer Pratt for L.A. mayor.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. Yes, buy all day, every day. This guy was on the debate stage. Yeah, former reality star. He was, at the time, dating. He's now married to Heidi Montag when they were on the hills together. Now he's running in L.A. as mayor. His house burnt down in those wildfires last year. And, the guy's just common sense. Take a listen to him on the debate stage this week.
How many beds you give these people, they are on super meth. They are on fentanyl. The DEA statistic says 93% of this is a drug addiction problem. Nithya, Councilwoman Robbins' plan for treatment first, I will go below the Harbor Freeway tomorrow with her, and we can find some of these people she's going to offer treatment for. She's going to get stabbed in the neck. These people do not want a bed. They want fentanyl or super meth. These ideas cost us over $400 million to house for 70, 3,000 people for $400 million. This is an absolute failure for both of them. They're a team.
Spencer Pratt talking about the homeless crisis in L.A. They don't want a bed. They want meth. You walk down there tomorrow, as he notes, they'll stab you in the neck. Doesn't mean they aren't able to be helped, But the notion that we're a big government program away from solving homelessness, please spare me. His ability to communicate is excellent. And I'm pulling for him, even if it's an uphill battle. Coming up next, Kelly Anders, Deputy Director of the Truman Library. It is President Truman's birthday today. I'll tell you what's going on there next. Well, it's a feature Friday on KCMO Talk Radio. We always like to welcome in a guest for a long-form conversation, and we are very happy to welcome in the Deputy Director of the Truman Presidential Library. And we happen to be sitting here on President Truman's birthday. Kelly Anders joining us on KCMO. Good morning, Kelly. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So what would this be for President Truman? What birthday would this be today?
Well, he would be 142 years old today.
Wow. And I don't want to bury the lead, but today's your birthday as well.
Well, we weren't going to mention that.
Yep,
but
happy birthday.
But thank you very much.
So that's why you got this job 6 years ago, right? Because you just put on your resume that you had the same birthday as President Truman?
It must have been a job requirement.
Well, let's talk about just you, what's going on. It's been 6 years for you in this role as the Deputy Director. And this is a big year. It's a big day with the President's birthday today, of course. And you've also got some great things going on at the library. So let's just start off with today, President Truman's birthday, Truman Day. What's going on today at the library?
Well, as we speak, there is a special ceremony commemorating President Truman's birthday, which began at 9 o'clock. And that involves dignitaries from the military coming and laying a wreath at his gravesite. And also having a bugler play taps. It's a very celebratory event where we have a lot of people outside on the grounds and, very patriotic and very respectful.
Mm-hmm. When you think about a day like today and having the library right here in the Kansas City area, I know there's a lot of people that play a big role in putting on a show like today with what you're going to be doing. What is something that people don't know about organizing a day like today, everything that goes into it, and what it takes to put it on?
That's a great question because plans for this start months in advance because you have to coordinate with the military. You have to coordinate with the White House. They send the wreath. They order that. And, the various groups that will come and the color guard, they have to practice. So there are all these different things that come into a ceremony that's less than a half an hour long. And then also there's the coordination of working with the National Guard and because they have another ceremony that they do at 10 o'clock where various National Guard units from the region will come to lay wreaths of their own at President Truman's gravesite because he was in the National Guard.
Okay. So today's free admission too?
Yes, all day.
All day today, free admission at the Truman Library.
Right, and in honor of his birthday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
That's
my
amazing.
birthday, his birthday.
Yeah. That's great. So what about, let's just go, there's a lot of stuff going on at the library we'll get to. But historically, when we think about President Truman and his legacy, what do you think it's defined by?
I really think it's defined by quiet, decisive leadership. There were so many things that he had to decide. Remember, when FDR died on April 12th, 1945, Truman had no VP for the remainder of that term. So, a lot of this, he was on his own quite a bit, and he had so many decisions. He'd only been VP for 82 days. And he hadn't been briefed on the Manhattan Project. There's so many things that he just had to kind of get in there and be decisive about. But I think his background was a little bit unusual for how he got to be president, our 33rd president. But all of that together made him ideally suited to leading at that time.
Well, that's an excellent point. Having the right person at the right time in American history is something we can look back on. And what was it about him, his personality, who he was as a person that made him the right person at the right time?
He was hardworking and fair, and he reached out to so many people. He really cared about people, all people, and genuinely so. And I think, that rang true, and I think that's how he won the 48 election when a lot of people didn't think he would.
That's a good point. So was that really a personality as much as anything else that he had that made him suited and able to win in 48?
This is just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think so. I think not only his personality, but his skill set. I always remind people President Truman was 16 in 1900. So he died in 1972. So that means this is somebody who remembers horse and buggy to man on the moon in his lifetime.
That's a good, yeah.
And
great.
he was always fascinated by transportation. That might be why.
Mm-hmm.
But I think another part of it is this is somebody who had spent his younger years, he ran the farm. He had worked in a bank successfully, but then his father said, we need you back on the farm. So he ran the farm. He kept the books for that. Then he decided himself that he wanted to get into World War I, even though he was in his 30s at the time. And so he memorizes the eye chart so that he can get into World War I because his vision is so poor. And then he becomes a celebrated and very successful captain of a really unruly unit. And these guys became his friends for life after that. And that also was pivotal for how he got into politics and how ultimately he became president.
That's amazing. I didn't know that eye chart story. That's incredible. Kelly Anders is here, deputy director at the Truman Library. Today is President Truman's birthday. Would have been his 142nd. Did I get that right? Birthday.
He was born in 1884.
So the rise through the political arena and his background that led him to that place, what was that like?
Well, I think it was a challenging road because at the time, the political machines there was one in Kansas City, they called them the machine. You had one in Kansas City, Chicago, St. Louis, probably other cities too, where things were not always above board.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Pendergast was the head of the machine in Kansas City, and his nephew had served in World War I with President Truman and mentioned to his uncle that Truman would be a good guy. He needed a straight shooter, a good guy to run for county judge, which at the time was more of an administrative role. And they ran President Truman, or Harry Truman at the time, and he won. Mm-hmm. And he was good in the role. He worked well with Pendergast. Pendergast respected that he was a straight shooter and honest, and they worked well together despite some of the different ways of doing things perhaps that they had. But I think that that was pivotal, and ironically, President Truman's ultimate goal at the time was to be governor of Missouri, but Pendergast ran him for Missouri Senate, and he won. And the challenging thing, though, was when he got to Washington, people knew about the machine, and they said he came from the great state of Pendergast. So he had, but he'd always say, I was in the Senate for 9.5 years. And, so when he got to the Senate, remember, he had run the farm, and he had been a captain, and he had been a county judge. This is somebody who's used to making sure money is handled ethically and effectively. And so he took on a committee that handled looking at waste, fraud, and abuse during World War II in military contracts. And he was so successful with that it came to be known as the Truman Committee. And so that's how he got on the radar of FDR, who was going to be running for an unprecedented fourth time and needed a VP that was just kind of a straight shooter like Truman.
That's incredible. So then when you look at his legacy thereafter, Kansas City in particular, the state of Missouri, how important was that background? And you mentioned some of it there, but just what he ended up doing for Kansas City. What are some things that people know about or may not know about in terms of what he did for this town during his rise through political power?
Well, as I mentioned, he was really, really fascinated by transportation. And so there are roads that he's responsible for. Truman Road, I think he wouldn't have wanted his name, he wouldn't have had it be named Truman Road, but it became Truman Road. But some of the roads, certainly both courthouses in Jackson County, downtown, eastern Jackson County, and Independence, he built those. He was constantly traveling to, he built so many things in his life. So it's just interesting to me that, on the one hand, people mention, the atomic bombs and the destruction, but to me, there's so much that he built, and then he built his own library.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that all of that together, I just think those are some of the things he contributed to Kansas City. I know when he was a younger man in the 30s, he and his wife, Bess Truman, they were involved locally. He belonged to so many organizations, and she did too. He was a Mason. There are just so many organizations that can call on, include him as a member.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Kelly Anders, Deputy Director of the Truman Library. It is President Truman's birthday. Free admission today at the library. We'll take a quick break, come back with Kelly, and talk about some of the other great events they have going on right now, part of the America 250 celebration that is just getting started in this country. What's going on that front and more coming up next.
I'm McGraw Millhaven, and America at Night is coming up at 8 o'clock. Friday, it's Military Spouse Awareness on KCMO 95.7 FM.
We are here with Kelly Anders, Deputy Director of the Truman Library. Today is Harry Truman's 142nd birthday. It's also Kelly's birthday, so we're glad she's spending her birthday with us here on 95.7 FM. So, Kelly, you've got a lot of great things happening at the library right now, but I just want to wrap up our historical conversation with the, I think, great story of President Truman into President Eisenhower, Missouri into Kansas during that period of time in American history. What is the relationship and the story there between these two guys and how we ended up with Missouri and Kansas going back to back in the White House?
Well, there are some interesting relationship challenges that the two men had when Eisenhower, or Ike for short, decided to run and not run as a Democrat. But I can only speculate. I know that as I was reading President Truman's public papers, and
which just took you 5 years to read, as you told me off the air, all of them. That's amazing.
Yes, but I really do think that maybe some of the things that were said on the campaign trail could have maybe stuck in his Ike's craw a little bit, because Truman would often say that, I like Ike too, but he's not qualified to be president. And so that is probably, if you hear that over and over again, that's not something you probably would like. I don't know if that's part of it, but I know, back then, Truman wasn't being mean-spirited. I think he was just running a hearty campaign. And I don't know why exactly they had the, relationship they had, but it did improve over time after President Truman had left office, and as Eisenhower, toward the end of his presidency and afterwards, they mended their fences, which I think was a wonderful thing. They had so much in common, both growing up on farms, both being Midwesterners, hardworking, good leaders. So they had so much in common.
Mm-hmm. And why is it, for people that don't know, why did Truman not want to run in 52?
Well, again, only speculating. I think part of it was because Bess Truman, his wife, the First Lady, she was ready to step away from public life and, go back to independence and focus on, being at home. And I think, also perhaps his approval rating and how low it was during the Korean War could have contributed to his decision about the likelihood of winning. Again, that's just speculation on my part.
Well, take me through, Kelly. You've got some great things going on at the library right now to celebrate America 250, and that's where I want to go right now. It's the story of us opening the vault. It runs through May the 25th, which is, of course, Memorial Day. So what is this opening the vault, the story of us, America 250 celebration going on at the Truman Library here for the next 2.5 weeks?
Well, okay. I'm going to say this, and maybe you'll take this with a grain of salt because I'm saying it, but it really is a big deal. The Truman Library is part of the National Archives, and all presidential libraries from Hoover onward are. And so the National Archives has generously, for the first time, allowed some really special documents to travel. And we have the most of any that will be at any presidential library. We have 21 of these documents, ranging all the way from the Louisiana Purchase to key legal decisions like the Brown v. Board decision, the Plessy versus Ferguson decision, and some other special documents where the Germany's surrender document, Japan's surrender document. So the actual documents are here.
That's incredible. So today is free for Truman's birthday.
Yes.
And Memorial Day weekend is going to be free as well. Who's that courtesy of?
Yes, courtesy of the Royals Foundation. They've generously underwritten free admission from May 23rd through 25th. And, we'd love to have people come out and and see these documents and see the permanent exhibit, see some of my favorite exhibits downstairs, also the cars. And, it's a wonderful time to come out and see everything.
And now for the World Cup as well, I know there's an exhibit, United We Play, and that's going on through the end of the year. So what's in that exhibit?
That is downstairs, too, in our temporary exhibit space, adjacent to the Opening the Vault Story of Us exhibit. It is a wonderful, vibrant exhibit celebrating sports and the Truman's love of sports. Not only Harry Truman, but Bess Truman, too. We have some really, and also locally and also from elsewhere, we have some wonderful pieces on loan. Like, for example, the Hunt family has loaned us the very first Chiefs ticket.
Oh, that's
show,
great.
Which is exciting. We've got Bess Truman's ice skates. There are all these fascinating things. And so it touches on all sports, not just soccer. So we've got baseball, football, so on and on. It's really colorful and compelling.
I got about a minute or two left. President Truman's love of sports, any little tidbit you've got on that front, what he liked or something he was really passionate about on the sports side? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you got something good, I'll take it.
Well, okay. Both Trumans loved baseball, and President Truman was a southpaw. So when he threw out the first pitch, there are pictures of him throwing with his left hand, but, back in those days, they made children use their right hand, so he was ambidextrous. But, when you see pictures, he's throwing with his left. And after President Truman passed away, Mrs. Truman, she continued to be an avid sports fan, especially baseball. So she always had the ball game on, and you didn't interrupt her when she was watching the game.
That's fantastic. That's a great. It's funny. Yesterday, I was talking to one of the girls about it. I'm left-handed. My middle one's left-handed. And I was telling them how, back in that day, you couldn't write with your left hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like so confused by that whole concept. So now I got a President Truman story to share with them as well. Kelly Anders, we've got less than a minute left. But, as you embark on the president's birthday today, this fantastic exhibit, America 250, what do you want to make sure people know about what you have going on at the library and all the great things you have happening here over the next few weeks?
I just want people to make sure to remember to check the website, trumanlibrary.gov/events, because we're adding things all the time. And there are so many wonderful things going on. We really just want to do what President Truman asked us to do. And that is he never wanted a shrine to himself. He wanted his library to be a resource for education. And we are the stewards right now, and we'd love for people to come out and see how history continues to be relevant.
That is fantastic. Well, it is free today. Truman Library. Head on out there. 142nd birthday of President Harry Truman, and the Opening the Vault America 250 celebration. And all those archives are in town until Memorial Day, May the 25th. That weekend is free as well. Kelly, thanks so much for being here on KCMO.
Thank you for having me.
There you go. Kelly Anders, Deputy Director of the Truman Library. News coming up in a minute on 95.7 FM.
from Lenexa to Lee Summit. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, I'd say we're ending the week with some pretty big and positive news for this White House. They should be happy with these two pieces of information. First off, the jobs report. Big beat for the market, almost double the expectations, 115,000 jobs added in April. And then also the Virginia Supreme Court has overturned the referendum that was on the ballot just a couple of weeks ago, ruling the process to put it on the ballot was unconstitutional. So Virginia is going to, at least for now, keep their 5 Republican districts. Remember, this went from a 6-5 Democrat-Republican map in Virginia to a 10-1 map in that 51-49 vote a couple of weeks ago. But the Virginia Supreme Court, breaking news this hour, invalidated the new voter-approved redistricting map. So this is a big win for Republicans on a Friday morning. The Virginia Supreme Court saying in a ruling, we hold the legislative process employed to advance this proposal violated Article 12, Section 1 of the Constitution of Virginia. This constitutional violation taints the resulting referendum vote and nullifies its legal efficacy. The Virginia Supreme Court heard oral arguments last month over the newly passed congressional map, and they ruled this morning it was handled in an unconstitutional manner. So big stuff there. And, hey, good news for the Republicans as they try to hang on to the House for dear life. Admittedly, I'm not sure it's going to matter a whole lot, but still, that's a 4-seat swing right there if they can hang on to them. All right, our caller of the day, let's line this one up. Our topic of the morning has been something that Mayor Lucas got people all riled up about yesterday on social media when the mayor said this about rolling back bar hours in Kansas City during the World Cup. The state of Missouri passed legislation that said during the World Cup, June 10th to July 19th, you could keep your bars open until 5 o'clock in the morning. But the cities had the right to not opt in. Well, now, a month out, the mayor is saying this.
So Kansas City, we are all excited about what comes ahead this summer. But one thing I don't think we need is bars open 23 hours a day. I've introduced an ordinance that would bring us back to our normal closing times, 3 a.m. at some bars, 1:30 a.m. at others. That doesn't mean you can't wake up real early in the morning, get to your favorite bar. But more than anything, it gives some of our service workers a break, law enforcement and public safety, and maybe get you to bed too. So that's the proposal. Love to know what you think. But more than anything, we're looking forward to a safe, exciting, and wonderful Kansas City this summer.
Do you think that's how the mayor talks to his kids? Get you to bed. Got to get you to bed. All right, let's get it. Our caller of the day.
Hello?
It's the Mundo in the Morning Caller of the Day on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Anna is in Kansas City on KCMO. And it's not Anna, it's Anna, just like in Frozen. My girls always remind me of that. Anna, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Thanks for taking my call. I am just so relieved that Mayor Lucas is actually even considering keeping the same bar hours. When he posted the message yesterday on social media, my husband actually read it. He's a service industry worker, a veteran. He has been doing this for a very long time. I'm a former service industry worker and healthcare worker, and we both were relieved. There is so much danger and potential just tragedy that lies in the opportunity of having these bars open until 5 a.m. I leave for work every morning. I live on 39th and Prospect. I leave for work every morning and drive to Overland Park. And when I leave at 5:15 in the morning, the idea that there are going to be people that just left the bar after it being open for 23 hours is absolutely terrifying. Not to mention just the sheer burnout that will be a result of these industry workers. And all these bar owners that are concerned about losing money, there's a whole other caveat to this. I know the amount of patrons that I had to cover their tabs when they were too intoxicated to pay up, or they walked out on a tab, or Oftentimes kitchens close at 10 p.m. So from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., you're going to have all these people out drinking with no food, no kitchen, no French fries to soak up all the liquor. So, there's just so many variables that go into it. And at the end of the day, our police force can't keep up with the dangers of the nightlife as is until 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have all of these bars and restaurants or bars and nightclubs. They have to staff their own security. So that is an additional force that has to be recruited for and trained for. And when it's all said and done, these people are going home. They're going back to their countries, and Kansas City will be left with all of the tragedy and all of the cleanup. And I am just really grateful that Mayor Lucas is actually considering a wise choice for us long term and for our actual safety of our community and our families.
Yes, putting the people of Kansas City first over the tourists. That's a great call. And Anna, I appreciate you, and thanks for checking in this morning. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Anna in Kansas City on KCMO. Reminds me of when I would read there was a Frozen book we had when my oldest was 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4 probably. And I would read the book and I would always say Anna, talking about the girl from Frozen, the sister. And she'd always be like, Dad, it's Anna. It's Anna. And I'd be like, all right, fine. I forgot again. And then it became kind of a running joke. And I always just say Anna to hear her say, it's Anna, Dad. It's Anna. But Anna made some good points in Kansas City, too. And, one thing I think the mayor's in a tough spot on is a month ago, they passed this ordinance that says you can't sell your little shooter bottles or your 40s in certain parts of Kansas City. But then you were going to let the bars be open till 5 a.m. for the World Cup. I think it's a bad look. Now, what people are also noting, and I think this is fair, it's like, hey, you know what? The mayor could have done this 2 months ago. Now he's doing it when it looks like the tourism numbers are not going to come close to expectations. And the Trump blame game is on. I've talked about it this week. I put up a huge post on my Facebook page, Pete Mundo on KCMO, and also on X at Pete Mundo, laying it all out for you last night on how the Trump blame game on the World Cup is coming. They're going to point to these visas, and that's got absolutely nothing to do with it. But I saw this story. This was texted into the show from 2 days ago. The Texas Tribune writing, World Cup hotel bookings short of expectations in Texas amid anti-U.S. sentiment abroad. They've got World Cup games in Dallas and Houston. And look, the blame game is on down there. All Trump every day. That's all they've got. And that is just not what this is really about. What this is really about is FIFA lying, as they have done about many things over their existence, and putting the blame on them. But why do that if you can just be like, oh, that's Trump's fault. No one wants to come here because of Trump. The people of Tunisia can't afford to come here, with or without Trump. They make $2,000 a year. Give it up. Keatsman Uncanceled coming up at 10, and we'll wrap up the week with Kevin next on KCMO.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO.
All right, we got Keatsman wrapping up the week on KCMO Talk Radio. Good morning, my man. How are you?
Great, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You got a take on these bars in Kansas City, whether or not they should be open until 5 a.m. or not?
It seems like a stunt to me. I don't know who's going to do it other than the people that just like to go out drinking and never go home. I mean, it's going to be locals, right? Are people really going to internationally travel here and say, oh, let's go to Kansas City because the bar's open until 5 a.m.? I don't know.
I agree. I don't think it's – I think that anyone who's looking to be out at that time, what's the benefit? So do you agree with Mayor Q then on this?
I've not put a lot of thought into it. I know that he just likes the rules the way they are, right? And,
yes.
And everything's good. I'm cool with that, but I'm also torn by this because I think we should be free to do whatever we want to do. I'm not so sure we should even have laws that close bars. I mean, Vegas never closes bars, and that's the most popular place people like to go travel. You don't know what time it is. They've got no clocks in the casinos. I don't know. It's just a clock on the wall to me, but you know, I would think if there's shift workers at Clay Como making trucks all day here in Kansas City that get off work at midnight or 1 o'clock sometimes. Maybe they like to go with the boys and have a few beers. I don't know. They're just laws to me. I think less government is good.
Yeah, I mean, not
that I trust people to be wise, because I know it creates problems and violence and everything else. I know it's bad, but we got to get to a place where we police ourselves a little bit more, and we're not a very civil society anymore. That really is the problem.
Well, you're right. Yes, I mean we treat each other like garbage.
Yep.
People are not kind. I mean, you're right. All that is absolutely true. I know you were on this. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day prior. Spencer Pratt, running for mayor of L.A. Last night I went down the rabbit hole watching him on that debate stage a couple of nights ago. I don't know if he can win, but damn, I'm rooting for him.
I am too. I don't think he's going to win, but he's going to be one of the two, so he's going to run. He's going to be one of the top vote getters. I think it's June 2nd is their election to narrow it to 2, and then they'll run in November, I guess, on the regular ballot. But when I saw the animated video that AI created with the song, Mark's got it somewhere. Have you heard the one with the song? La basura, something Spencer La Basura. Basura is trash or garbage in Spanish, and her name is Bass, so he calls her Basura, which is trash, and he's pushing this giant dumpster down the road, and everybody's dancing and waving. It's animated. It looks like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
You know, and he's pushing Karen Bass in this trash dumpster. He's taking the trash out. It is the greatest campaign thing I've ever seen. I led with it a couple of days ago.
Yes.
When I saw it, I'm like, that's the future. Republicans and conservatives are funny, and it's easy to make fun of the other party. They have no sense of humor. They can't do it back. Every time they try to do something normal, they fail. Chuck Schumer standing over a grill with raw meat on it or whatever. It's like, they can't do it. Spencer Pratt is 42 years old, I believe.
Yes.
He's showing everyone that's conservative, this is how you campaign. Don't spend all the money. Let AI create this and be fun. Have fun with it.
And isn't it too, just to me, the story here is also communicators are winning in politics. You know, Trump, everyone talks about Trump as the business guy. That was part of it, but to me, it's that he knew how to communicate with the media and with people and just cut to the chase.
He did. I think that's old school, though. I think Reagan was like that. Some people said Obama. I never really thought Obama was eloquent. You know, he pauses so much when he talks. It's like
he's gotten worse, too, over the years, I feel like. You know,
almost sounds like he's dumb. He's trying to think about what he's going to say next or something. I don't think Spencer Pratt's a genius, by the way. I listened to him speak and all those things. That's not what's doing it. What's doing it is all these videos, and he's calling these things out. And the one commercial where he's standing by his mobile home on his lot that's been burned down, and the drone pulls out, and he's standing there and goes, this is where I live, and he's running by her house, and she lives a $4 million Beverly Hills mansion or something. That's how you do it. I mean, he clearly is creative and understands how to do it, but I mean, he's no national threat. That guy's not going to be president someday. He's not Trump. You know what I mean? Do you see that in his personality?
Well, I don't know about national. I haven't thought about that. But I just look at guys like him. I'm looking at Mark Alford, Stegall, like people that are just communicators who are now having success in politics. And I think it's just when you communicate for a living, you know how to relate to people, cut to the chase, get to your point. He was talking about homelessness the other night, and he's like, listen, we spent $400 million on this. Look at the problems we have. I walk down there and we'll get stabbed because the guy wants meth.
He looked her right in the eye. So I'll take you down there. They're going to stab you in the neck.
Yes.
He looked right at her. They're going to stab you in the neck. They don't want a bed.
Yes.
They want drugs.
Exactly.
Are you people crazy? Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And that's what I love. And I think that just conservatives are better at that generally because it's common sense, every man speak. That's what it is.
It's exactly what it is. And I love it. And I'm rooting for the guy like crazy. John and I were talking about him yesterday during a break. If he won in L.A., he might really change things in America because if he won, good things are going to happen in a town where not a lot of good things are happening. And other cities are going to see that. And it's going to encourage people, go run, go try this. But you got to do, I'm telling you, he's reaching people in LA that have never thought about voting, never thought about politics. These videos he's putting out, he's reaching young people. Young people in this country have swung way to the right from what they were. We just had that poll. It was plus 38 or something in 2018, the Dems. It's plus 9 now. I mean, that's 18 to 29-year-olds. Is Trump reaching them? He's reaching it with all this social media stuff.
Yes.
It's not the force of his personality that people don't like him sometimes, but the things that his team puts out that they're reaching young people, that's what Spencer Pratt's doing. He's got a chance to reach a lot of young people that have never voted for mayor before.
I think that's a great analysis, and I didn't know this morning until I talked about it. John Anthony is like a diehard expert on the Hills going back 20 years.
I never
he was
saw
like
it.
Heidi Montag. That was my demographic. I mean, I was in college then.
So you haven't seen the animated thing? John just saw it for the first time. He said,
Saca la basura.
right. You have. He's dancing with Heidi on the stage, and all these Latinos for Spencer are waving their flags there in the streets of LA. You haven't seen this thing yet.
No, I haven't.
It's on my Los Lobos playlist.
Yeah.
Fits right in there.
Mark, did you save that anywhere? We should save that and play that every now and then because it just sounds great. Okay, so
well, I'll dig it up. I mean, last night I started going down the rabbit hole, so like my whole feed on X became all Spencer Pratt stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy is just on fire right now.
Everybody listening to this show right now should be rooting for him.
Yeah. I think
is
it's much
big.
bigger than LA,
Yes,
to your point.
for sure.
It's way bigger than LA.
Yes, and somebody like that in Kansas City, let's go.
I literally, this morning, I'm like, who's the Spencer Pratt
Right.
next year? We got an election next
I
year.
know.
Who can be the Spencer Pratt?
Yes.
I know a lot of business guys who are like thinking about doing it, but let's be honest, you got to have the communication ability. And that's what's making him stand out, not the I'm a businessman like Trump thing.
It's a young person's game.
Yes.
Again, he's 42. That's young in politics. It's a young person's game. Go reach the young people. Be funny. Have fun. Get them where they are. Hit their iPhones with all the stuff on Instagram and everything they're doing. That's the future of politics for our party. Trump has been a blessing, a godsend, but I don't think anybody's ever going to do what he's done again. I think that's over. The way to do it is the way Spencer Pratt's doing it.
You want to run for mayor of Kansas City?
I wouldn't be any good at this. Honest to God, I wouldn't. I'd need a team to do it all. Yeah. I'm too old for that. You can't. That's not. You want to see me and Jessica in a cartoon dancing in front of Latinos? That's not going to work. You don't want to see me dance.
Hey, my last name's Spanish. Can I pull that
there
off?
There you go. When I dance, I wave like a bird. I do this. And Jessica's like, no, stop. Don't do that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm waving like a bird. That's not good.
Oh, man. Hey, you'll be driving through my old stomping grounds today. You'll be going through Greensburg, Kansas, Liberal, Kansas, Meade, Kansas, a bunch of little towns I used to call high school football in. I love those towns, man.
There's some great players through the years in Liberal, Kansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some really, really fine players have come through there. Did you not see any good players when you were in Liberal?
No, I didn't see any. I did a bunch of, I did Liberal, Dodge City, Meade, Garden City, Greensburg. I did them all.
Okay.
But I don't remember seeing good players in Liberal.
There was a lot of speed in Liberal.
Oh, was there?
That's what I remember. Yeah. Bill Snyder used to just recruit speed out of Liberal. He said, I don't know what position he's going to play, but he's really fast. Let's get him on the team.
Oh, man. Well, safe travels through the Panhandle and down through Southwest Texas.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Southwest Kansas, I should say. Kevin Keatsman, Uncanceled, is coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. You can stream us, as always, on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Hey, quick note, sweet deals. Go there right now and get the Crooked Q Barbecue. That's spend $250 for a $500 gift card to Crooked Q Barbecue. We've had it here at the station. It is absolutely amazing. Whatever you need it for, whether it is Mother's Day this weekend on short notice or graduation parties, get it right now. Sweetdeals.com.